In honor of Matt Rodin being on our show today, I think we should do a little red carpet challenge for this opening intro. And what better challenge than sitting here and being sincere with you all? I usually start with a clever bit, but all my bits are really clever. But I couldn't come up with anything that was funny. So I figured the biggest red carpet challenge of all would be just sitting here and talking to you honestly. Okay. That's so stupid. Frankly, I'm filming this in the middle of the night, and I couldn't come up with anything that was good. I'm not like Matt. I didn't have this idea prepped beforehand. But also our episode is long enough and worthy enough that we don't need an intro. I think it's funnier and more interesting for me to tell you how this episode came to be, okay? So we came out with an episode called I Want to Be Like Charlie Seidenberg a couple weeks back. You may have seen it. If you've not seen it, go watch it. But we released the TikTok, and we were discussing the difference between press teams and marketing teams, PR and marketing. And Matt commented on this TikTok and was like, hey, I would love to talk about this in even more detail on the show. And I was like, of course, I would love to have you on the show. Matt Rodin. Who is Matt Rodin? Well, if you were watching Broadway media, any type of Broadway media, but pre-pandemic, like I was, you know exactly who Matt Rodin is because you watched Live at 5 on Broadway.com. You watched Red Carpet Challenge. You watched Side by Side. I mean, he produced all of these shows and oftentimes was interviewing in these shows. And I was a big fan of his. And he honestly started the whole notion that we see on red carpets all the time today, which is like these little short form games. And we get to talking all about that in this episode. I was really excited to have him on for that fact, but more than anything, Matt is an actor's actor as well, and a musician. And he is currently starring in Beau the Musical at St. Luke's. He's playing Ace Baker, and he's been a part of this show for so long that we needed to have him on to talk about it. We needed to have him on to go a little deeper in detail between the difference of a press team and a marketing team. You're going to get all of that in this, okay? I can assure you of that. And I guess it really sets the precedent that if you want to be on the show, all you have to do is comment. I see all your comments. You can't hide from me. And that's on all platforms. So if you want to be on the show, yeah, maybe just comment and then we'll take a look, especially if you want to dispute something that we discussed on the show earlier. Okay, let's talk more about Matt Rodin. I was a big fan of his, actually, and that's sincerely, and I've told him that because I did watch all of his content. I was watching every opening night to see what funny bits he would prepare. And also, I watched videos of him in Company as Jamie. Okay, which he did on the national tour, which is incredible. If you've not seen it, you got to go look up his Not Getting Married Today because it was wonderful and we didn't get to talk enough about it. But we did get to talk about so much. We got to really just sit and hang out, which is exactly what I wanted to do with this podcast in general. And we got to talk about state of the industry stuff. Matt has a newsletter called The Fourth Wall that you should all subscribe to. And it basically gives you this one newsletter every week discussing in depth a story from our lovely theater industry. And also, he has this really cool site that we get to talking about called Butts in Seats, where, yes, we love looking at the grosses. We look at the gross. I, for one, look at the grosses every week. And obviously, they're an important part of our industry. But also, what's an important part of our industry is those butts in the seats, like this one right now. We have... It's so interesting because capacity seems like something that's a little bit more, not dismissed, but looked over in a certain respect. But Matt is just doing this for the positivity, for the optimism, which is something I absolutely love about him. And that's one of my favorite qualities about this episode is that we really lean in to the optimistic side and thinking about theater from a more optimistic lens because things can get really murky. You see all these headlines and stories that can get a little discouraging about the future of Broadway, and understandably so in certain respects, but we have to remember some of the beauty of why we do it. And I'm talking your ear off about the things that you're about to hear in this episode. So I think you'll just love it. We got We got down long rabbit holes. Matt is wonderful. And I'm so glad that he commented to come on the show so that we could have him on and to discuss Beau, which I'm so excited to see. It starts previews at St. Luke's Theater. And if you haven't seen it, I mean, a lot of people saw it when it was downtown. Now it's moving to Midtown. And it is Beau the Musical. It starts previews October 13th. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see Matt in it. And I can't wait for you to see this episode. So let's get to it. Today, I want to be like Matt Rodin. I want to be like you. 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 Welcome to another episode of I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. Today, I want to be like Matt Rodin.
Crazy. I don't know why. I wouldn't want that for you, but I love that for us.
So we start, first of all, thank you for doing this.
Of course.
And I'll talk a little bit more about how this came about in a bit, but we start with the same question every time, and it is, who was your I Want to Be Like You when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think it was Donny Osmond, and only because I, from a very young age, I was like, I want to be doing theater for sure. But all I had was like the VHS of Joseph that they taped, and so I was like, that is who I want to be like. I want to be the lead in the musical,
right.
And then certainly, there was definitely family members and uncles and grandfathers that I was like, I always looked up to, and. But yeah, in terms of like public figures, I feel like that was the one that like really that pops up when I think immediately, because it was the first thing I had access to. Joseph was like my favorite show for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, that's nice. I when I was in college, we had to watch this, like, I was doing like a documentary editing class, and I watched this like 45-minute documentary on Donny Osmond, and like crazy story, really
wild.
Cool. I also didn't realize the fan base of Donny.
No, I had literally no idea. My mom is like a giant fan of both Donny and his sister Marie.
Right.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and their whole family is like huge. Like there was a point where they were like Michael Jackson level of like stardom.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Right.
That's Donny Osmond to me, but I didn't realize that he was in that show because he was a name. Yeah. They were already doing stunt casting back in the 90s.
That's
okay,
true.
It was already happening.
Do you think there are people who just know Michael Jackson from The Wiz? I don't think so. Listen. It could be. You don't know. You could be. Yeah, maybe.
That's what I mean. You know, listen. You never know. I mean, I always think like, what do people expect when they're going to go see MJ on Broadway?
Yeah.
Still running. So I'm like, what do people expect to go see? Like, what do they think it's going to be like?
Right.
But I think they did a pretty good job of like covering a lot of ground and leaning into the nuance to the extent that it needed to be leaned into for a flashy commercial Broadway musical.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's doing as well as it is.
Correct.
Okay, so you're from Chicago.
Yeah, outside Chicago, 20 minutes north.
So did you come to New York often at all? No.
So I came to New York once as a 13-year-old. My grandparents brought me on my bar mitzvah trip. They were like, for your bar mitzvah, we'll take you and your cousin to New York. Yeah. Because it was my dream, obviously. Yeah. And we saw Phantom was my first show.
Oh, wow.
Which I feel like is like kind of like, it's a good one.
That's
but
a good one.
But it was like we saw Phantom, Wicked, and we saw Slava's Snow Show, which was at New World Stages at the time. I don't remember, but they came back a couple of years ago. But it was those three shows, and that was the only time I came to New York. And then I went to college in Boston, and I came to New York a couple times while I was there, but not consistently enough, like to the point that when I moved here after school, the only neighborhood I like really knew or felt comfortable in, I should say, was like Midtown. Like I didn't really know that people even lived on the Upper West Side. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking in Harlem. Oh my God. But like, I just had no idea that other neighborhoods like were really like nice. Yeah. So that was my understanding of New York for a very long time until I moved here post school.
Well, honestly, like even being from Brooklyn, I knew the city was like the city. I thought everywhere had a city. I didn't know that New York City was like an emblem of it in and of itself.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like I thought that like we would go to the city for whatever reason, see a show or whatever, but I never thought that I thought it was everywhere had a city and this was my city.
Yeah.
You know? And so like. And then Staten Island is like kind of its own world in its own respect. But there was a point where we were bouncing from Brooklyn to Staten Island all the time. And I remember thinking like, oh, there are people who don't really leave Staten Island much. They don't go to the city often. They don't, you know. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, there are people who don't really leave the Upper West Side.
Yes.
Much. There are people who don't leave the Village much. And
when I realized, because I was going downtown to Chicago a lot as a kid. And so I at least had like I had exposure to a city.
Yeah.
But there was a point where I realized that like people didn't, like there were people in parts of the country that like have never been to a metropolitan city. I was just in Paris and I realized it wasn't that much of a culture shock to me because I was like, it feels just like New York. It's prettier, but it feels like New York.
Right.
Whereas people from like middle of nowhere, they go to these metropolitan places and it is crazy. I cannot imagine.
Yeah. It's jarring, especially just like building after building, a skyscraper after skyscraper, and just
oh my God.
Yeah.
After cornfields? Like what?
Yeah. Or no sidewalk?
No sidewalks.
No sidewalk.
Yes. So I grew up going to Chicago, which I saw a lot of theater in Chicago. Yeah, because every tour came through.
Right.
So that was a huge privilege that my grandparents lived in the city and that they were able to take me and my cousins to a lot of theater.
Oh, really?
And there's so many pictures I have with people that were on tours that now I know, but we're young and on the national tour of Rent.
Oh, that's so cool.
And now, now they're in the city, but it's wild.
Because you were a theater kid's theater kid.
I was a theater kid. I can't, I like wish I was, I for so long, I wanted to be something other than that. And even the last like 10 years, I've been like trying to figure out what it is that I am. And the truth is that like through and through, that's what I am. I love the arts for sure, and I love movies and I love television, and I mean music is a huge part of my life, and I think part of that is because of my love for theater.
Right.
To me, it is like the combining of all the elements of all the things that make up theater and all the departments that have to come together in order for something to get made. To me, like that is the magic. Yeah, I just love it so much.
What was the reason behind like trying to avoid being a theater kid?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I definitely was a theater kid in high school for sure.
Yeah.
And I went to college for musical theater, so there was no denying that.
Yeah.
But I think when I got to the city, I think because I knew pretty early on that it was really hard to make a career out of being someone who was in the theater, who works in the theater. I felt, I think probably just an internal pressure to break free, to like try to do something or have something else other than that, because I didn't want my whole identity to be tied up in this thing. That
makes sense.
Yeah. Like when I moved, after I went to school and I moved to the city, the first thing that I did was I got an internship at 54 Below. Mm-hmm. So that first summer I was in New York, I would spend my days in the office, like, 9 to 5. And then at night, I was the assistant to whoever was performing at 54 Below. And there were like 2 or 3 shows a night. So it was everybody from the cast of Newsies to Patti LuPone. And I'm the one being like, do you need water? Do you need tea? Like, okay, the elevator's here. It's like time to go down. Yeah. And so I was immersed in the business very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But I realized that like, there was like a long way to go before this was going to be a sustainable career.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so I think there was just a sense that I was like, I don't want to let myself down. Mm-hmm. And so by shedding the label of theater kid, I was able to be like, oh, that's not like the thing that I love, when at the heart of it, like that is the thing that I love more than anything.
It's funny. There's like this like notion for some reason, and I wonder if this exists in all industries, but where like the idea of like theater being your favorite thing feels like almost like a little bit of a faux pas.
Yeah.
If you're in theater, like the notion of like there are times.
Oh yeah, that's so interesting.
Like there are times where like I'll be in Pearl and be like, really happy to be there.
Yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But like the idea that I'm happy to be there is like considered like where we're just here, like kind of like, and I get both sides of it, but it's,
there's an interesting like contrast or friction between being someone who's working in theater or wants to work in theater and being a fan. Like there's this connotation with being a fan of theater,
right,
that is somehow like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always, again, I felt that way too, that I was like, I don't want to be ever seen or perceived as a fangirl, as a super fan of someone. That's why, like, when I worked at 54 Below, I never asked anyone to take a picture with me. Not one person. Because I didn't want that to be the dynamic.
No, that's a different thing.
And yeah, I think it's because there's this sense that, like, you know, we were like, this is our business. This is our work.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be seen as
but that's a
another
professionalism thing, right? Like that's like there was a point where when I was really young, that I was like, oh my gosh, and I want the picture and I want the blah, blah, blah. And of course, yes. But when I started to work and I like, it's not, the picture isn't valuable, but that doesn't mean I'm not a fan of yours. I'm really a big fan of yours.
Absolutely.
And I want to make sure you know too, because I loved what you just did.
We all started as casuals.
Yeah.
We all were casually liking theater. Some people it was 5.
Yeah.
Me was like, what, 11?
Yeah.
You was like 11?
Right.
You know? But we were all like, what is Hamilton? What is Phantom or Fiddler?
Yeah.
You know?
But we're not stage dooring now. You know what I mean? That's the
different
difference.
thing.
Is that at some point, maybe, because I know people that are our age that still love to go to the stage door.
Sure.
But most of those people aren't in the business.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is something outside of what they normally do.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, I think because we want to be perceived as part of the community, I always felt like I wanted to be perceived as a peer to people.
Yeah.
That I really tried to make distance between the idea of me being like part of it and me being a fan.
Yeah.
Even when I was doing red carpets at Broadway.com, like, again, I made a very distinct effort to like not fangirl over people.
Yes.
And even though I really wanted to, I never ever said to anyone like, hey, I'm such a big fan of your work, because immediately, at least in the 30 seconds that I had someone on a red carpet, it changes the dynamic just enough that the way that they're going to respond to the questions that I'm going to ask is going to be different.
Yes.
Than if they feel like they're being talked to.
Especially with interviewing. And I wonder if you felt this too, where it's almost like, especially with that dynamic, by making them your peer, it's almost like you're hoping that they would be a fan of you if you ask a real... That's why good question. When someone says good question, I don't know if you feel it, it's like...
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, was like I was playing games on the red carpet with people. That's what I was doing.
Red carpet challenge.
The red carpet challenge. And it was fun because what would happen was that, like, you know, after the 4th time me seeing Bernadette Peters, she would be excited to see me. She'd be like, she would come give me a hug and be like, oh my God, what are we playing? You know, and that was because of the fact that I never made it like I was lower than her, right? Like we were, that's right. I was providing value. That's exactly right. That like in that moment, when everyone else is asking for something from them, I wanted to give them something, especially on a night that's like supposed to be celebratory. And the truth is, like, I don't think that we can have an in-depth conversation in the 90 seconds that we're going to be standing there, right? Like, I would love to have a sit-down conversation and an interview. Big fan of that. But in that 90 seconds, let's just have fun. Like, let's make this fun for everybody.
Right.
And the truth is, it worked. People loved it. And now it's what every outlet is doing. Like that's what everyone.
I was gonna get exactly to,
and we'll get there. But like, it's interesting because I think people realize that like it's not the time or place to have those, you know, conversations. And the truth is, you're getting the same 4 quotes. Every single outlet is getting the same 4 quotes about the show from people.
Well, that's the thing, is that I've always been a huge fan of press runs, and I would watch every little bit. And I would watch, and you know, whatever. But the thing about it was, and before it was late night, like before you would get like what you were seeing of celebrities were those. How did you get involved with the piece? How did you, you know, whatever? What draws you to this? What are you most excited, etc. Right? And every person's asking that question. And then the late night was giving the opportunity
a little more fun,
for, like, and a little bit longer with the time. And how's your family or whatever. And now late night is being considered like too small, and podcasts have become like this, like, sit down with me, tell me about your Monday.
Let's
what do
go
you do
deep.
on
Yes,
exactly. exactly. So now but those conventions still exist. So how do you innovate those conventions of the red carpet, of the snappy,
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, if I was doing red carpets now, the videos that I'd be making would be on TikTok, but
course.
that didn't exist. So we were doing Facebook videos. We were doing YouTube. Like this is, and you got to think this is 2016, 17, which doesn't seem like that long ago,
right?
But it's a long time ago. Like we're talking like Facebook video was barely new. Playbill was not doing video content at all. I was the first person to do video content on Playbill.com. That was not a thing.
Right.
But again, I saw where things were going. Like we knew Broadway.com was doing it.
Yeah.
Like the vlogs were happening. They were doing the Broadway show.
And they'd been doing those vlogs for a long time.
A long time.
They were ahead
so
of it.
It was
So
there,
cool. Yeah.
but I was like, why isn't everybody doing this? And then now we've crossed that threshold, and now everybody's doing short form content.
Right.
And you see like the outlets trying to like catch up to one another in ways, and the shows too. Everyone's trying to like play catch up and try to get ahead of the curve, or at least catch on trends that happened like 3 months ago.
It's true.
That's what I was telling my brother. I was like, it feels like, and we were talking about this in terms of art, but very similar with this, where it's like, it feels like if you're trying to catch what's timely, that's not necessarily what the golden ticket.
Yeah.
And you're late. If it's timely, you're late.
Yeah.
Like what is timely is ahead of the curve, because by the time we get there, it will be timely.
Right.
But if you're trying to do what's timely now, and by the time you get it out, you're going to be late.
Right.
And it'll only last for you're doing something that's you're saying, you're putting yourself in a corner and saying, I want something that's going to be really hot for a moment.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's so hot.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you talk about Facebook video, and I was like, do you remember IGTV? Like someone,
that was an app on its own. It was its own app. They really thought that IGTV would be its like own specific thing.
Right.
And then they realized very quickly that like, how about, I remember when stories came out on Instagram and people were like, this is never going to happen.
Everyone had this whole like,
they're stealing Snapchat's thing.
Right.
Look at us now.
Right.
Everybody.
I knew we were screwed when my dad was like, check this out. I was like, he's on it. Because in my head, when you're hanging out with teenagers in 2016, it's like Snapchat was such a thing that was like, we're not telling our parents.
Yes, of course.
And now they're primarily using it.
I'll be honest, like, and this is no shade to Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat anymore. I used to when I was a kid.
We have moved on.
That's what I mean. Like I mean, listen, my little sister does, but like I don't. It's not.
And it's their, and a lot for a generation of kids, it is their main form of communication.
Right.
Which is so interesting.
Right.
That like, I mean, the amount of like the highest. I think the highest amount of engagement that happens on Instagram is in people's DMs. It's actually conversations happening between people. It's not on the feed or in stories. It's like it's messaging back and forth. So all of these apps and all these platforms, like they're utilized in different ways by different generations.
Yeah.
And the thing to just speak to the bigger picture is like, I think all the shows right now and the industry at large, and every industry, but especially entertainment and theater specifically, they're trying to figure out how to capitalize on that. How do we bring what we do to these places and to these people that are in so many more places than they used to be? It's not just the New York Times. It's not just television ads. It's not just radio. We're on our phones constantly, and we're on 12 different apps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I think about with even, I remember when we were starting the podcast, I was like, gosh, I had the same idea. It's like, I think we're already behind, right? And I remember telling somebody, and they're like, oh, you mean the thing that was really hot in 2017? Now, that's not necessarily true, because it's much hotter now, but that's the issue, is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But then I started to go like, wait a minute. And in the last 6 months, I've really started to go like, oh, the video content, the reach there.
It's everything.
That's the thing, is that at this point now.
The thing about TikTok and even podcasts, it's starting to feel like it's going to stay. It's starting to feel like 2020 was 10 years worth of advancement in 1 year.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Podcasts are, it's here. It's not going anywhere, because the form is unlike anything else.
Yeah.
And it is the new version of like talk radio.
Yes.
Like it was there, but now here it is streaming on Spotify and every other platform.
Yeah.
And it's not going anywhere. And I think, at least personally, that like, it's not about necessarily getting a giant audience, right? You're not going to be Dax Shepard, but if you can find a really committed small community,
right,
you can actually like make a living doing something like this, especially if it's something that you enjoy. Right? Like the Cutting Room Floor is a podcast that is exclusively available on Patreon. She does not stream it anywhere for free, but makes a living because there are people that want to listen to it, and they release clips on social. So I don't think podcasts are going anywhere. I don't think you're late. And I also think that because there are not, and I felt this way as someone who has done like 4 different podcasts, I still do not feel that there is, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to come here, was that I don't feel that there has been a podcast that has saturated our market in terms of theater in a way that feels like, oh, well, you're doing a show, well, you have to go on this podcast, right? Like in the same way that like film and television, you're like, oh, okay, well, like you're going to go on Armchair Expert, and you're going to go on Amy Poehler's podcast, and you're going to go on Mark Maron. Like it's just, that's what you do. That hasn't happened in our industry yet.
I completely agree.
And I think it will happen, like that someone will have that podcast.
Right.
And that is part of the reason like why I'm here, because I think I do think there's potential for that. And I think too, the video component and the short form video component is so crucial. You could you have to acknowledge the idea that these people who have become as big as they are, whether it's, Smartless doesn't do video, but I even think about, your Joe Rogan, your Theo Vaughn, your all these guys. It was all video clips, all of it.
And there are a lot of people who don't listen to the whole thing, but their clips have gone so viral that does all the damage. It does what they're intending to do.
YouTube is the most watched
for podcasts
on anything.
Well, for
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Like it's my husband who's an agent. Like we talk about this all the time, that like we're both, I watch a lot of YouTube, but like we're blown away by the fact that YouTube is the most streamed network above any network out there. Like it is the place that people watch.
And there's no catching up, really.
No.
And the budget for narrative storytelling for the amount of content that comes out isn't even close to compared to Netflix or Amazon Prime Video.
No.
There are the budgeting.
Well, the barrier to entry is so low, right? Anyone can do it.
Exactly.
And anybody, if you make something that's good enough and you can draw an audience,
boom,
then you can build a business. You can actually make a living or have a career doing something. And I think we don't realize how many people, especially being in the city, you guys are from New York at large, but like I don't think about people that are driving every day or that are sitting at home and put a podcast on the TV and are working, right? Like we don't think about that because that's not what our lives are like. But so many people in the country, that's what they do. That's how they consume media.
At this rate, honestly, for me with podcasts, like I listen to them all the time.
You do?
I do. I have like I probably at this point listen on rotation to something like 25. And on top of it too is like I don't do regular work the same again. Like even if it's like little things, like if I'm at work, let's say, and I'm building a yada yada, or I'm setting something up, or I'm getting ready.
You have it in your ear.
It's in my ear.
Well, it's passive, right? That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Is that podcasts? I think the reason why they saturated so quickly was because it was passive. It was something that we could do.
Laundry podcast.
Yes.
If I'm, errands podcast. Like it's
always on the train.
On the train. I download them all.
Yes.
I play Candy Crush and listen to a podcast.
Yes.
So and I wanted to bring up this one point in regard to the theater kid thing that we were talking about is like
I know I got so off the rails there.
No,
oh my god.
This is perfect. So with the notion, and I want to bring this up just as like a little aside because I thought of it. It's like the notion of like a Disney adult, right? It's like there's a lot of like and the reason why I bring it up is because it has a similar essence in the sense that like people are like like Disney adults are and I understand what they're talking about. There's and whatever. And no, he's laughing because he thinks I'm a Disney adult and I'm not a Disney adult.
Are you?
Not in its truest. Not in its like.
Do you go every year?
Yes,
but you're a Disney adult. That's it. Like sold. Okay. Like that's all you need to say.
Right? And maybe this is the way that how like, and I don't mean to bring it up in this capacity, but how there's like people look at like a political spectrum and they'll go, it's a far left or a far right. I think there's a far Disney. You know what I'm saying? Like
definitely.
I'm not a far Disney, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
right.
But you do go every year.
I do go every year, and. No, exactly.
No
lightsabers.
Are you wearing the ears?
No.
Are you taking pictures like with the ears and stuff?
Not
at
necessarily.
the parks?
Not necessarily. So that's what I mean. I have a gauge, and also, I have a gauge, and also there's also a thing where, and this is like I can acknowledge Disney as like an entity, and also Disney World and what I love about Disney.
Yes, of course.
Those are two different things.
They are two different things.
There's some people who don't. The ones who don't know the difference. They're far Disney. That's what I'm saying.
Listen. The people. Theater kids is that's a wide ranging umbrella, right? How about the kids that love plays?
Right.
How about the kids that love Shakespeare? How about the kids that love capital B Broadway musicals? How about the kids that like the Dead Outlaws and the the Spring Awakenings, the weird Broadway musicals?
You can go with just plays or just musicals. You go just musicals. We know people who are like kids who are like Sondheim.
Right. The Sondheim nerds, right? That's a whole other. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So it is there. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yes. And that's it validates my belief that nothing is binary. Everything is fluid.
Right.
And everyone falls somewhere on a spectrum.
Right.
And it's all out of love, man.
Listen, who am I to judge? If it brings you joy and you're not hurting anyone. What the fuck do I care?
Doesn't matter.
Do your thing.
It's true.
What do I care?
It's true.
Go to Disney World. Ride the
true.
rides. There are people in those parks that need to make a living. So thank God for you.
That's true. And a lot of people too. Yeah, for sure.
That was a great sidestep. I love that.
Yeah, it was worth it. Maybe just to prove your point wrong. Maybe that's what it was worth it for. Okay. Anyway.
But we resolved as you're a Disney adult, but not necessarily. And also, you're not a full...
I'm not far Disney.
Yeah, you're not like far Disney.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And that being said, you can catch me in Alani in Hawaii in a couple weeks. Okay, so... I'm probably on a Disney cruise next year. Okay, so... theater, Disney, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yes, very much so.
You went to BOCO.
I did.
And talk to me about... We always ask about the college experience in terms of the college audition experience.
Yes.
What was it like for you?
Well, I went to high school 20 minutes north of Chicago and didn't have really anyone in my world that was doing musical theater professionally or had gone to school for musical theater. I knew one person, and it was one of my best friend's older brothers, and he had gone to BOCO.
Yeah.
And so this is a crazy story, but my parents, God bless them, were like, okay, if you really want to do this, like, let's do this. They got on this message board online, which was College Confidential, which was huge at the time. And my college counselor at school obviously was like, Northwestern, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they were messaging on this platform, and they found this woman who was a musical theater college counselor. That's like what she did. Do you know who this was? Shayna Taub's mother.
No way.
Susan Taub. Wow. And it's so funny because Susan always used to talk about my daughter Shayna. And my parents were like, ugh, she won't shut up about her daughter. Okay, it worked out fine for Shayna Taub, by the way.
She's doing pretty good.
So I applied to, I think, like 19 schools.
Wow.
And I got into, and I will say, like, I didn't know anything. Yeah. So I didn't apply to Michigan. I didn't apply to Carnegie. I didn't apply to CCM because this counselor basically was like, you don't have any professional credits. Your grades are fine. I don't think you really have a chance of getting in any of these schools, which looking back, like, maybe I would have, who knows?
Yeah.
So I applied to a lot of like mid-tier, whatever that means, schools. Yeah. BOCO was like the best school that I applied to. And it was the one that she was like, I don't think you're going to get in. And I was like, I'm applying because my friend's brother went there and like, let's just see and like, whatever. I had the story of how I like auditioned and got in was crazy because emails got lost and unsubscribed. And so like my acceptance email got lost in my parents' email. And so we didn't know that I got in. It was a Friday night when we found out. And so it is a much longer story, but wow. I got into BOCO and there was no question that like, that was where I was going to go. I'd never been to Boston. I did not visit. And so I got in.
So then what was your audition? Were you doing like, how did you audition for the school if you didn't?
So I did audition. I did audition for the school. No, because in Chicago, just like I guess they probably do them here. I think they do them here, Chicago, LA,
Unifieds,
the Unifieds.
Yeah.
And there was a giant Unified in Chicago and I applied and I did like, 12 or 13 auditions there. By the way, it was the scariest moment of my entire fucking life.
Why?
It was, oh my God, Unifieds, I would never wish that upon my worst enemy. It if you think about like what kids are like, I mean, what adults are like in auditions, like at Pearl, like it was, I mean, all these kids, the stakes are so high.
Right.
Everyone is a high school theater kid.
Yeah.
So the drama is just like off the charts.
Right.
The parents are insane.
Sure.
Yeah, it just was.
Where are like I've never been. I've never like. Are they at like a convention center?
In Chicago? They were at a hotel.
Okay.
So they basically were in like ballrooms at a hotel. And my Boko dance audition was in a giant ballroom. My like singing and acting audition was in like a conference room.
Yeah.
And you basically would go around each conference room and you tried to schedule out, when your auditions were. And it's like a lot of work. And I'm so glad that now there are companies that exist.
Yeah.
That like help kids go through this, because it's also, it's not just like the scheduling and the applications, it's also the material.
Yeah.
Like you're having to learn like 3 songs, 2 monologues. And again, like I had to do a Shakespeare monologue. I never done Shakespeare. So I was like, but you figure it out. And I was lucky and I got in.
It's funny. Like I don't, especially even from when I started in college, like the audition process is like even more vigorous.
Like, it's way more vigorous now.
Yeah.
And there's more schools now.
Yeah.
That's the other big difference is I was auditioning in 2010. So there were still a lot of schools, but now the market is way more saturated because a lot of colleges figured out that they can make a lot of money off of kids who like want to go to school for theater. And so every school started a theater program.
In certain respects, there's some colleges that are thriving off their theater program.
Absolutely.
Like that is their bread and butter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my husband went to Michigan.
Yeah.
So that, I know what these schools are like, but there was no question that once I got into Boko, I was like, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Because it was the best school on my list, and I was like, I can't say no to that. And if I hadn't gone to Boko, I probably would have gone to Emerson, because I loved Emerson and like what they had to offer, and I don't know, but I think that if I had gone to Emerson, I think I would have ended up as like a broadcast journalism major. Because the truth is, I just wanted to be seen. I just wanted to be in front of the camera. I just wanted to be, out there. And so I think I would have realized that like, oh, theater's fun, but I can have like a career with like a living and a paycheck doing like being a news, being a news broadcaster.
What was I going to ask? Oh, at Boko, was it a cup program?
It was. Yeah.
Is it still?
I don't know if it is still.
Yeah.
Well, but also now, I was the last class at Boko before they merged with Berkeley. So now Boko is now part of Berklee College of Music.
Right.
It's now the Boston Conservatory at the Berklee College of Music.
Right.
Which, to be fair, like I would have been even more interested in Boko if that was the case. Because as someone who loves music, I would have been like, oh my God, I would love to take Berklee classes. Are you kidding me? It's an incredible music school.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we had a cut program after sophomore year, and they didn't cut people necessarily, but they could basically like strongly recommend that maybe it's time to walk away.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, and they would we'd have like auditions after first semester, and then they'd put you on like probation basically, and be like, you have to.
Did they do that?
After sophomore year.
Oh,
it was like halfway
that
through.
Was it. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. It wasn't like a yearly check.
No. Once we got past sophomore year, like then you're in. Listen, they want your money. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're willing to pay, they're like, who cares? Like we'll take you.
We did in college. We did sophomore.
You were at
review.
Wagner.
I was at Wagner, and we did a sophomore review.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and it was actually I kind of liked it honestly, because you got to a point where you're like, I don't know, what am I doing? Am I on the right track?
Yes.
Not like career wise, but am I picking the right material for myself? Is what I'm doing still resonating? Should I just flip the switch and start leaning more in this direction? Yeah. So it was nice where their whole thing was, we want you to pick. I remember during sophomore review, it was like, you can only pick songs from like Golden Age and before.
Yeah.
And you can only pick scenes.
My nightmare. My literal nightmare. Yeah. My literal nightmare. Well,
it was just like one, and it was honestly such a great challenge, because it was like the idea was, I remember I partnered up with somebody. We took a standard. We took what's that song? You're Just in Love. You're analyzing, and we made it into our own story, and we crafted it, and it was creative and fun, and we just did our own thing, and they were like, great. Like, that was it. It wasn't like, hey. It was more just like, well, that's it. You're fine.
It's so interesting you said that, because I did not thrive at school in the way that like I wasn't cast a lot. I wasn't cast in a lot of things at school because I didn't really fit the mold, and I wasn't one of the like, cherished prizes of the school.
Sure.
And I also am like more of a pop rock contemporary singer than I am like a musical theater singer.
Yeah.
And so they had a really hard time with me there. I did a lot of other things. I was highly creative. I did lighting design and poster design and producing and directing. I was on student government. Like I was really, really involved, and really like I got a lot out of school, because my belief is like you get out what you put in, and I put in a lot. But by the time I got to senior year and I showcased, I didn't give a shit anymore, because I really was like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to be an actor, because I've had no feedback while I'm in school that like this is actually sustainable or that I'm even wanted. So I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want for showcase. I played guitar. I sang a Hall & Oates song. Wouldn't you know it, I got more agent appointments than any other boys in my class.
Wow.
But I think it was because I kind of went in with the energy of like, this is who I am, and I'm not trying to be anything other than
very forward.
Than what my essence, like the truth of what I do.
I forget which comedian it was that said this, that when he went into school, it was a performing arts high school, and they had asked him, they'd have an interview beforehand and be like, why do you want to do this? And he was like, I just want to become a comedian. And he didn't know. So they asked him, and he's like, I don't know. I want to make people laugh. It's the most honest thing. And he got immediately, they were like, that's true, you're in. And all the people that were trained, it's a similar thing with Showcase, where even the Showcase that we were watching, because we'd see the videos during COVID, yours was, you guys were 21, so you had to do the...
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was during COVID. But you know what? Like, I will say there is a maturity in that essence, because I remember like even a big draw to going to a big school, like, you know, say Ithaca or even Wagner, right? It's like Ithaca, Wagner, Carnegie Mellon, like BOCO, like the Showcase. It's like, absolutely. You start with your brain at Showcase. I know. Like, what could come, and and the expectations feel so high. And I remember like if I could tell myself something now about that time, I would be like, Showcase is not your end all be all. It really is not.
Not even close. Like, of course, from the beginning, you're thinking about it. And I will say, like, the agent that signed me out of Showcase, they dropped me 3 years later. You know, like it. Guess what? It worked out fine. Like, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But it's not the end all be all, and the stakes are so high. And so when I go talk at BOCO or any other school, the thing I tell them is, I'm like, listen, the only thing that you need to do is enjoy this. Yeah. That is the all you need to do is worry about right now is have fun with your friends. Yeah. You're singing. I hope you better fucking love the song you're singing.
Right.
It should feel so good in your body. That is the only thing that you can control.
Yeah.
So like, just be present in this really cool moment that you guys are having together. You've put in all this work. You've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
You get to share a part of yourself with people. Just be present in in every moment of it. Don't be thinking about what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah.
If you can just be present in what you're doing right now, you'll be fine.
And treating it like a celebration.
Yes.
I mean, like, we got to do what I loved about what we did with our Showcase. And this is all credit. Like, I really should, like, Michelle Palk and Wendy Bobbitt Cavett, like, they really had our, like, through that time. And, like, we did a Showcase where we filmed it, and we filmed the whole thing. They filmed the entire thing for us. Like, they got it all filmed for us and had Tim Grady come in, who does now all Broadway shows.
Did you film, like, did you guys do a Showcase that you filmed, or was it that you filmed each of your segments individually?
Like, we went into, like, our black box stage one, and, like, Tim was there, and he filmed all of our stuff and did multiple takes.
One by one.
And and we did, like, multiple takes, and we all had, like, a half-hour slot, and they came on their off hours to play for us. Like, Wendy was playing for us, and Michelle was directing us in the middle. Hey, I know right now we're adjusting for the space, move here. It was, like, so nuanced and so, like, beautiful. And then on top of that, we filmed a whole, it was like a film show. Like, we did like a 4-hour thing for our opening number, and we directed and choreographed it and whatever. Like, Michelle was behind it. And then on top of that, we did an actual Showcase on campus only for
like family and friends,
the underclass.
Oh yeah.
Family and friends weren't allowed to be on campus, but like the underclass, I think they streamed it live on Facebook.
Yeah.
So like, it was.
How did you feel about it at the time?
At the time, I remember being like, I'm so happy we're getting to do this live.
Good.
Because we're going to get an audience.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the material that I wound up using is from the live performance more than it was actually from the filmed one, just because the reaction from the crowd is unmatched.
Of course.
So like, I can't front, like, I kind of loved our Showcase experience. All in all, I look back on it, and while I was concerned about, like, why is my email not blowing up? Like, I was thinking about that. I'm not going to say I wasn't. But also, the experience in and of itself was not strenuous. I loved my material. Like, it was like, I can't complain.
And now we've hit a point where, you know, that is now the norm. Like it is again, my husband is an agent. It is a lot to ask an agent or a manager or a casting director to go sit in a theater in the city for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and sit through kids doing 32-bar cuts of songs. And it's not just your school. There's 30 schools. And they have to take time out of their day to go do this.
Yeah.
It's much easier for them to watch videos, to even just look at headshots and be like, okay, what do I not have on my roster here?
Right.
Like that person seems interesting to me. Let me go see what they do. And 10 seconds in, you're not wasting their time. They can move on, or they can say, oh, that seems interesting to me. Like, let me bring them in and talk to them. Like, as hard as it is, and I know there was so much pushback and so much frustration around these digital showcases from every school.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, again, like you're saying before, like 2020 moved the needle, like 10 years ahead, because that's where we were heading.
Yeah.
You know, and now everyone's posting their self tapes on fucking TikTok. So what does it matter? Like you can be posting on TikTok all through college, and by the time you get to New York City, like people know who you are.
It's a bizarre thing. When I went to Wagner last year, me and my girlfriend to go do like this like business style class, and it's a and 3 of the kids within that class had a huge
TikTok following,
social media presence. I mean, like huge.
Yeah.
And I didn't know them because we had already graduated by the time they came in, but I was just like, oh my gosh, because she knew 2 of them from TikTok, and then one of them had it. And don't get me wrong, they were still appreciating the class. It wasn't like anything like that, but it was just like bizarre because I was like, that was so not even an option.
Not
yet,
even close.
You know?
I mean, Instagram was barely beginning when I was in college.
Yeah.
Like it was we were just on the surface of that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that now, and again, like I don't know that we necessarily have seen the industry as a whole, like and the effect of the thing that we're talking about in terms of like people growing followings and bringing those into moving to the city and how that actually affects someone's opportunities. I don't know that we've seen that quite yet.
Yeah.
We will. But there's a lot of talk all the time about like casting directors being like, well, how many followers do they have? And the truth is, if you have anything less than like 750,000 followers or 1 million followers, like it doesn't really make that much of a difference because you're not a draw. Like you're not actually bringing people to the theater.
Right. Well, yeah. And even then, even some above that, there's still a discrepancy. Like even if you look at like Charlie D'Amelio was in Anne Juliet, and did it help? Maybe a little bit, but not a huge amount. And yes, she was on something, but whatever. It's still like it wasn't that discrepancy is still there.
Yeah, and I think. Again, as someone who doesn't believe in binaries, I think all the things can be true, right? Like, we do Broadway, and when I say Broadway, I mean like commercial theater in New York.
Yeah.
We need shows to make money.
Of course, yeah.
And for the good of the entire industry, we do need shows. We do need the Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
and
sure.
do need the George Clooney's.
Sure.
And I understand like those tickets are expensive. I can't afford to go.
Me neither. I didn't get to see either of them.
But in order to bring in revenue and capital to the industry as a whole, we do need those things so that we can balance out and make space for the things that are going to be more quirky and more weird, right? Look at a Hadestown. A Hadestown doesn't run for 5 years unless you're bringing in semi-big names, right? It's an amazing show that really has, like, I love it, but there's no reason why that show runs for 5 years other than the fact that the piece is great, but they're bringing in people that are like, mid-level. Like a Jack Wolf is a perfect example of someone who like, that is enough of a draw that can run the show for the next couple months.
And once you match that with the cult following as it started to, it kind of was just like a perfect storm of people going, I'll go rewatch it for the 19th time. Yeah. And it's so rewatchable for a lot of people. And in terms of the school thing though, because this is something interesting where, and we see this a lot now, you're talking about the George Clooney's, you're talking about the people like that. I think it also goes back to saying that even though we're in the social media area where you're seeing those people, the shows that they picked, like even George Clooney, we're still seeing for the idea that attention spans are going down, anything like that.
Right.
That narrative.
3 hours.
We're seeing Othello. It's not some short, random Shakespeare play. That's the thing. Or even Glengarry. It's a risky, like just one act.
Good night and good luck with
I saw something really interesting on LinkedIn the other day, which I will shout into the void about how much I love LinkedIn and how much upside I think there is for theater, and you should 100% be publishing everything you're doing on LinkedIn, especially the clips that you're posting. You should 100% start posting them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I saw something that was about the fact that like the upside for unlimited run is, you know, something like 215 or 200% or whatever it is for an investor. And for an unlimited run, and for unlimited run with like a celebrity, right? I know what my upside is. I know that in these 15 weeks that we're running, I know that my investors are going to make X amount. On the other end of that, for an open-ended Broadway run, a show that you really hope is going to be a hit, the upside is like 2,000%. But that's only like 1 in 15 or 20 shows. That doesn't happen. It's not always a Hamilton. It's not always a Hadestown. Right. Most of the time, it's not. Right? So you're not always going to have an Outsiders. It's just not always going to be that. And that's where like this, I think the conversation right now, it feels like, again, I don't think it's binary. I think there's nuance. I think there's room for both of those things. Yeah. And, you know, Broadway is finding its equilibrium. Yeah. You know, it's gonna take time, but stunt casting, as it were, has always been a thing. Yeah. It's always been there. Right. And we've always had artful shows. How do we get people to come see artful shows? That's the question, I think, still right now. Figuring it out. Yeah, I think that's the thing right now that we're still trying to figure out, right? It doesn't exist in the same way that like a Sondheim, right? A Sondheim show comes in and people are really, really excited and we know it's gonna sell.
But then you look at something like Pacific Overtures. Oh, what were you going to say about it?
You look at something like Pacific Overtures, it's like, or Merrily. Pacific Overtures lasted 6 months. Yikes! It was like, but then Sweeney was a year or whatever.
Yeah, but or even Passion. But also like I look at like a Maybe Happy Ending. Like Maybe Happy Ending was like this like really it really was this like piece that. Who knew that could have become what it's become?
They didn't know.
No,
they did. They were 2 months in, and they were like, "I don't know if we're gonna make it."
Well, but it's one of the. I remember like we had Randy at Graph on a couple weeks ago, and she was like, City of Angels was bound to close in 2 weeks. She's like 2 weeks. They were gonna call it quits. Yeah. And then suddenly it became, for what it's worth, a hit in and of itself, and Tony noms and all this other stuff, and lasted significantly longer. But if you were to look and not take that risk at Maybe Happy Ending, look at the loss you would have had, because when we talked about it with Ken Davenport, like $400,000 a week, like that's pretty much immediate closure at this point.
100%, that's closing.
And now it's grossing over $1 million of that. Yeah. It is like. There's not really a whole lot running on it. It doesn't have a Clooney level star with Darren Criss, and it also did not have a Sondheim writing it. They were newcomers, and Michael Arden is probably the big, but But
to my mom, it's like who?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So it's like, it's kind of like every now and then you get like this like gem in that show with that's an original piece. That's like,
but even with something like Dead Outlaw, right? That gets a ton of Tony nominations and it is critically acclaimed. It could not find legs. It just could not grasp an audience enough to be able to sustain a run, which is sad and hard. And there's so many different reasons for that. And I'm not here to diagnose any of that. Who knows? But I think, I just feel like right now, like we're in this like interesting sort of phase and time that I don't think theater is dying. I don't believe that Broadway is dying, and I don't think it's going anywhere.
No.
I was so mad about like not having a head start and not being like doing adult theater, community theater.
I like honestly, like I started college at 16, so I graduated younger. But it was one of those things where even then I was like, oh gosh, what if I would have not went to college? You
still felt behind.
What if I would have not went to college? And then I thought about it and I was like, well then COVID would have hit, and I like at least in COVID I had school.
That's so interesting. I think it happens on both ends too, right? That like no matter how young or how old you are, there is a sense always, especially in our industry, that like you're behind or you're not where you should be.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like we're all navigating constantly.
Yeah. But there's a constant chase too. I mean, it's a New York City thing. It's like there's a constant chase, and so inevitably you're always like, well, I really thought that the growth that I would have hit would have happened way before. But the idea of being able to live in the present is so much. It's so much harder.
It's so much harder,
but it's rewarding.
But I will tell you, like the thing that I've been really I've been trying to hang on to, which again is very hard, is like creating space for myself to be surprised and allowing things to just come in the way that they're meant to, right? Like I had auditioned for the national tour of Company. I was obviously wanted the job so bad,
Right.
like every other gay in New York, to play Jamie on the tour,
man.
this Tony-winning role and this incredible revival that I loved.
Right.
In Company, I was like, oh my God, national tour. I'd always wanted to tour. I'm from Chicago, right? So I had this dream. Great first audition, bombed the callback, and I'm like, all right, well, that was that.
What happened?
It just, I think I wasn't doing what they envisioned. And I went in there and I wanted it so bad. And I was so intent on doing this thing and I had prepared so hard that when they gave me a suggestion or an idea or a note, I was just so thrown. So I let that go. And then when the person that they had hired fell through and they started bringing people back in the room, I had a callback, went pretty well. And then I had one final callback, which was on the day of my wedding. So I get married at 11 a.m. in Central Park. And at 2 p.m., I'm singing Not Getting Married Today
Oh my God.
at Pearl Studios.
That is crazy.
And so, like, talk about timing. Like, I wouldn't have written that in a movie. That, like, I would be like, well, that's kind of like, that's too, yeah, that's too, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's too, that would never happen. Like, that's too crazy. So for me, when those kind of moments happen, and I've had a few of them, like, that to me was a sign that I was like, oh, I don't need to be in control here.
Yeah.
If I allow things to happen the way that they're supposed to, the way that things are going to surprise me is going to be so much more rich and exciting and fun than if I'm gripping and holding on to these things that I think are going to happen in the way that they're going to happen, how they're going to happen.
Yeah.
If I can just surrender and be like, here I go. Like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do my thing, and the rest is out of my hands. This show, Beau, that I'm doing now, I've been working on the show for 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, we shot a $6 million movie in 2021 that no one will ever see, right?
Crazy.
Every moment of this 8 years, I thought this show's going to be my big break. This show's going to be my big break. Well, guess what? 8 years later, I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment. Like, nothing has changed, right?
Sure.
And what is a big break anyways?
Right.
But I let that go, and now, like, we did the show downtown. It was a crazy hit. Now we're moving uptown, and for me, the reward is, like, I get to take the train home every night. After being on tour for a year, I get to go sleep in my own bed every night, and I'm working in New York. I'm doing the thing that I wanted to be doing, right?
Right.
And sure, like, the paycheck isn't what I wish it was,
Sure.
but, like, it's one step in the right direction,
Yeah.
and again, I couldn't have planned it this way. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that, like, when any plans I make, like, we make, what do they say? Like, we make plans and God laughs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, and this is what's kind of insane about it, because I was just going to make this point, but what you said about comparison. I was just talking about comparison. I was thinking about that kid that won the Emmy. And it's like, one day he might be like, man, I'm falling short. And he won an Emmy with the youngest one. He may think that. And he may be right. And
he started acting like 3 years ago.
Right.
You know? And listen, again, this is the thing about, you know, awards and accolades and the chase. The thing that we're talking about is there is no end. Right? Like, you will climb that ladder. There's no top of that ladder. Like, it is endless.
Yeah.
And so, again, so what does it become about? It's like, can I just be present? Can I just enjoy? Right. It's about the ladder. Right. It's about being in the process of it. That is the actual reward, right? I when the press release for this off-Broadway transfer comes, or any press release, when the press release comes out for a show, as actors, we love that day because our friends are texting us and we get to post it on social media and it's really exciting. And sometimes we get enchanted by that thing and we forget that, like, the actual reward is the doing of the show. And as cool as the press release is, if the process is fucking miserable, like, the press release doesn't mean shit. So for me, like, that press release that day, to me, I'm like, that's the candy. But the meal is the actual process of doing the show, of being in the room, of having creative conversations. That's the thing I really want to be doing.
we noticed that with podcast guests a lot, where there's something on their resume or something they've worked on. We're like, ooh, that's the thing we're excited about. And they're like, it was, you know, it just didn't gel for me. Great show, great. And then they'll mention something else they're far more passionate about.
That was like a small, like, little thing, right?
Yeah.
So that again, I just think like the bigger picture. We're talking about that kid that won that Emmy. It's like, of course, this is a huge moment in that kid's life, but to be chasing awards, it's like it doesn't end.
Yeah.
And so if we can find work that like makes us feel fulfilled, and we can find people that we love working with, and we can have interesting conversations, right? I'm like, that's what I care about, is like, today was a win for me. I got to do a photo shoot this morning. I got to be singing music in rehearsal. I did an interview on TV this afternoon, went back to rehearsal, and now I'm here with you having a great conversation. Like, I'm good. Like all things considered, like that's a win.
There's this notion, right? And it's hard not to fight the meant to be notion, right? The timing notion, right? And because I've heard stories similar to yours where it's like, yes, like timing is everything, and things are, the idea that like you can't write your own story in certain respects. And then there's this notion too that's like, and it's a balance, and I'm constantly reminding myself of that, but it's like the idea that well, sometimes you just feel like, well, you know what? If it's not up to me, I'm just gonna sit here and be like, you know what I mean? Because it's like
then you become passive.
You forgot that the work was the thing.
Right.
You put the thing on the Instagram post, the awards. Forgot that the work was, and really the same way that jealousy, comparison is a thief of joy. In theater, comparison is a thief of life.
That's right.
It'll suck the life out of. I've seen people, it sucks the life out of them. And same thing with expectations.
Yeah. So what's the anecdote to comparison though? It's like making, certainly that, but it's like making something. Like I don't need to compare myself if I'm doing my own thing. I don't need to wait for opportunities if I'm making my own podcast, right? I don't need to wait for someone to give me a thing to do. I can go do the thing myself.
That's Marlon Wayans. You can't steal my joke if you're talking about my kid.
Yeah. Marlon Wayans had said that.
Unique story about my kid.
Of course.
I'm not afraid someone's gonna steal my joke.
Right. Marlon Wayans had said that. Yeah, that's.
I think it's McConaughey's book. I think it starts with it where it's that he talks about expectation and hopes, and the company audition that you botched, if it's gonna feel a certain way, whatever it is. Any auditions that we botch are gonna feel a certain way, but if it's an expectation of I expect to get this job, those people tend to find auditioning to be very difficult. Because each one they don't get is a disappointment. And they're constantly disappointing themselves.
But it's so like yes, and I like it's one of those things where it's like that.
I know.
And also you sit there and you go like, well, but I made it to finals and I'm here and I'm
of course. Oh my god.
And you envision yourself in it and then you're going, oh, that would be a cool thing.
I start looking at the tour dates. Are you kidding me? Like right? Like I'm like, oh well, Christmas will be in here and you start to do that thing. Of course we all do that. So it's a balance, right? It's like can I both like allow myself a little bit, right? I'm going to be heartbroken when something doesn't go my way. Like it's okay to like let myself be a little bit sad. But I don't need to let it affect my entire life. I allow myself to sit in sadness. I don't feel guilty about being sad, right? That's the other piece is like, I don't need to have a feeling about my feeling. I can just feel how I feel.
Right.
I can just say, oh, like, wow, that was a bummer. And I can go cry and go get myself an audition treat, go get myself a cookie or a cupcake, or I like going to Magnolia Bakery and getting banana pudding. Like that's my thing that I do after every audition, to just be like, okay, like, that went the way that it went, and I have no control. And sometimes you think it goes really well, and it doesn't go your way. And sometimes you're like, what the fuck was that? And it does go your way.
Yeah.
And
it was all hope in the first place.
Listen, I got back from tour in October of last year, about a year ago, and I didn't think I was like, I don't know when I'm going to work again. I don't know if I'll ever work again. This year I haven't stopped working. And when we hit January, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I had a random audition happen in February because this person dropped out of this show and this person dropped out of this show. And so this spot opened up and they were desperate to find someone at the last minute. And I walked in the room and they were like, you're the person we've been looking for all along. But I had it was one audition. It wasn't like 17 rounds, right? Because that story I've heard 100 times.
Yeah.
And Company was that for me. But this one thing, like the timing was just right. And I walked in the room and we all fell in love. And I got to do this new Adam Guan musical in the city, my off-Broadway debut. And I'm playing a queer role. I'm singing like musical theater music, which for me, like I have been singing pop rock. I mean, I was doing Company, so like kind of, but that's a patter song. It's a much different thing. But again, like all these opportunities, I could not have seen them coming. The thing that I do know though, is that every opportunity that I've had has come from something that I have done. So like all the Broadway.com stuff and all the red carpet stuff happened because I started making video content. on my own.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is like you said, you mentioned that you came to the city and you got an internship at 54 Below. How soon after did Broadway.com come to your space, and why?
Okay, so I come to the city. I go to 54 Below. I'm interning there. I have an agent, right? I signed with an agent, and I started auditioning, and I got my first equity job. I'd never worked. I'd never done summer stock, never done anything.
Yeah.
So I go to Baltimore, and I do Next to Normal at Baltimore Center Stage in 2014, 15, and it's great, amazing. And then there's like a sprinkling of regional jobs through the next couple years. But what starts to happen is I start to have this sense of like, I don't want to wait for someone to give me an opportunity. I'm such a creative person. I never did my homework, but I was really good at extra credit projects. Like that was my thing. So I was like, I have to be like making stuff. I have to make something. And so I started making video content, and all I ever wanted was to be noticed by Broadway.com, Broadway World, Playbill, right? Like at the time, at 22 years old, that was my dream to be like featured on one of these sites. Well,
yes.
Broadway World somehow picks up something I'm doing. I start doing a series for Broadway World about colleges. I want to promote that show, so I ask if I can do the red carpet for the opening night of Something Rotten. They're like, no, sorry. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to buy a microphone. I'm going to go stand down the street from the opening night of Something Rotten, and I'm just going to interview people on the street. I'm going to do my own game for Something Rotten and interview people on the street. So I film this video. I post it like on my own because I wanted to promote the other thing that I was doing. It gets like 1,200 views. I'm like, oh my God, this video worked so well. I can't believe this. Well, someone I had met at 54 Below, who was not performing, it was someone's friend,
Yeah.
saw that video. He worked at Playbill. He sent it to the editor-in-chief at Playbill. They invite me in, and they're like, hey, would you like want to do this for us? Like, we'll pay you like $100 a video. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to pay me? Also, this like little idea that I had, you're going to pay me to do this? Sure, why not? So I start doing these videos for Playbill, filming them by myself, right? Like I'm bringing my friends with me. I have my family, my friends filming this stuff for me. And I'm editing these videos overnight, getting them on. Again, Playbill does not have video content at this point. So this is brand new. Paul from Broadway.com sees these videos and sees me on the red carpets and is like, who the fuck is this kid?
So Playbill was sending you on the red carpets with these. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. And then Paul saw me, took me out to lunch one day, and was like, I don't do this, but I would like to poach you from Playbill and bring you over to Broadway.com, and I'll pay you $500 a video. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm rich. I was like, I'm on top of the world. So I obviously said, he's like, and we're going to give you editors and videographers. I was like, oh my God, I don't have to beg my friends to come with me. And he's like, we have gear. I was like, you have gear? Like you have microphones and cameras?
Right.
So I was like, of course. And he was really embracive and embraced like what my ideas were and this sort of ridiculous thing that I was doing. And I started doing that. And then eventually he was like, do you want to come work here full time? And I was auditioning, but I wasn't really getting in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the video content was going so well that I was like, wait, you're going to pay me a salary? Like, you mean I'm going to get paid every single week?
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I worked at Broadway.com full time, 9 to 5, at a desk for like a year and a half.
Wow.
I produced Side by Side by Susan Blackwell.
Right.
That was my show.
Right.
I was doing my show. I was producing Live at 5, which was this live show that we were doing every single day.
One of the coolest things. It was so cool.
My show that we produced
we
did every single day. But I was like booking the guests. I was running the board. I was like writing the stories. Like again, like working my fucking ass off, getting way underpaid. But I had a steady paycheck. I was like, this is great. And I was in the industry. And what was hard about this, and I just have to say this, is like what was hard is that all this time I'm working on Beau, the show that I'm doing. Like I've had this thing in my back pocket. Like I'm doing readings. I'm auditioning a little bit. And once again, I'm meeting these people in the office who are coming in for interviews. And I want to be seen as a peer. I don't want to be seen as a fan. And I don't want to be seen as just a press person. I want to be seen as a peer. But I had to really like find so much peace within myself to be like, patience.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
Like it's all good. So I'm going to tell you this like one side story that I think will just speak to this. So I'm working at Broadway.com and I start to get really burnt out. I'm like, this isn't working for me. Like this is really, really hard. It's long days, long hours. and not enough money, and I want to be auditioning, and I want to be seen as a peer, all the stuff I'm just saying. My musical hero is Jason Mraz. He is my Beyonce. He is my Obama. He is my like number one.
Sure.
He's the reason why I started playing guitar, like everything to me.
Yeah.
So I'm in like, I probably a year in at Broadway.com, and they announce Jason Mraz is going to come and do Waitress on Broadway. Well, this is a crazy opportunity for me. Like maybe I can do a segment with him. So I pitch 5 pieces, these big pieces, walking around the city, going because he went to AMDA for musical theater. Yeah. So I'm like, let's go to AMDA. Let's walk around all the places that he loved. Like, let's go to the theater and do a deep dive interview. Like, I have all these pitches. They're like, no. Well, he's coming in. They decide they'll book him on Live at 5. And Paul, bless his heart, was like, you want to do the interview? And I was like, I mean, absolutely. So the day that I get the email that he's confirmed is November 22nd. The day that I saw Jason the first time was November 22nd, 2008 at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. Oh my apartment number at the time was 1122. Synchronicities are crazy. And he comes in, and I talked to him for a good period of time, and it was an amazing interview. I did a great job. I was really proud, and it was incredible to meet him. We go into the green room after, and we're doing this 54 Below show. Like 54 sings Jason Mraz, right? Yeah, like a friend was organizing this, and I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this show 54 Below. Like, if you want to come, like, let me know. I'm happy to get you in there. And he was like, oh, like that would be fun. Like, what are you singing? And I say this song that's very obscure, not on an album. And he's like, how do you know that song? And I was like, ooh, like I watch every single YouTube video that goes up. Like I know the deep cuts. And he was like, do you know it? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, do you want to just sing it? He sits down at the piano in this green room, and him and I could cry. Him and I like sing this song. And this is all to say that like this Broadway.com thing that I didn't understand, like at the time, I couldn't possibly, it was fun and it was exciting to like be meeting all these theater legends that I loved, right? I'd be like Bernadette Peters and Patti LuPone, and like the list is endless. But I still, it wasn't, I don't know, I just couldn't quite wrap my head around like why I was doing this. I didn't quite know why like this felt like the place I needed to be at this moment. And it felt like I was like, something was missing. But this thing with Jason happens, and I was like, right. Like I could never have planned it that way. I didn't know that Jason was going to come do Waitress when I signed on to Broadway.com a year and a half before. I had no idea. And for me, it was like, oh, right. Like, I don't need to know what this is for, but something is coming in a way that I can't see or predict. And then 2 years later, I'm auditioning for Hedwig and the Angry Inch at Milwaukee Rep because 2 other people that they had signed on to do this show had backed out. I'm like, I'm never going to book this job. They're going to hire a famous drag queen to play Hedwig at Milwaukee Rep, like a very reputable regional theater. I was like, no way. They saw my red carpet videos and they were like, he can improv. He's perfect. And they hired me. And again, like, I couldn't have possibly known that these red carpet videos would lead to job opportunities. Maybe I hoped, right? Turns out I actually got my agent from the red carpet because I was interviewing her clients, right? So I got dropped by my agents. I'm interviewing her clients. She's like, you're so cute and fun. You should come meet with us. Are you signed? And I was like, no. And she was like, come meet with us. Those are my agents now. Like, there were so many things that I couldn't have possibly predicted that came from these red carpets and from this Broadway.com experience that all came from the fact that I went down the street from Something Rotten opening night with no press pass and no real reason. Like, I don't know how I had the balls to do that.
Right.
I had no reason. I had no reason to believe that was worth anything.
Right.
But because of this one little thing that I did, like it blew up my entire world. And I do think it's like led to everything, which is why I always say 54 Below for me, like, was everything traces back there because that video was seen by someone that I met at 54 Below who shared it with Playbill, and that's how I got that job at Playbill. So that's a long way of saying, like, you just don't know, but you have to, like, make your own opportunities. Like, you cannot wait for someone to do it for you. Yeah. you just don't know,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you could end up on ABC News. I mean, maybe not ABC after the past 2 days, but,
right.
but you know what I mean? Like you just don't know what can happen
Anything could happen.
in 6 months, 2 years, 10 years. Like it's impossible for us to know what's going to happen. But I do know that if you are putting energy out and like you're sending things out into the world, into the universe, like it's reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We know that. So that means that like the things you put out, something is coming back.
Yeah.
Even if we don't know what that is, when that is, how that is, it will come back around in ways that you can't expect. I'm sure that you've had people on here that like you were like, I never thought I'd get to talk to X, Y, or Z.
It happens more times than I could count. Like in a week. Like I don't know that we're at the point where we're at now, and there are people that I'm like, how did that even?
And you're going to start fielding requests soon. Like that's what's going to start. Like if you're not already, like you're going to start fielding people being like, can they come on your show?
Well,
you know,
it's just amazing that like I remember sitting here and thinking to myself, like, did we just talk to Leroy Reeves for 4 hours? I mean, it was like crazy.
Jerry Mitchell.
It's like Jerry Mitchell. Like what the hell? Like it was something that was. It's still beyond me. A lot of it is still beyond me, and we're still babies. We're only 6 months in. But
which is the best part is that right now you're in like the big like
no man's land.
yeah, and also like and not that no one's paying attention, but like you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? Like you don't have the pressure of having 2 million listeners. You right now you're in full experimentation, which is like the best part because you get to like figure it out in real time.
Well, I think we both. I mean, it seems like we both know that we're to cherish this. Like this time right now. We were talking about that with our first episode in this location, where we were like, the guest comes in and they're like, oh my god, you know, the cakes. I'm like, I was like, oh my god, I hadn't been. I'm figuring out the setup.
It was Phil Colgan was here.
Oh, yeah.
It was Christian's first time being here as well as Phil's first.
Me trying to figure out what.
Yeah, what the hell is going on with the cameras and the sound?
Yeah,
but like it's okay.
Yeah, we went to Mark.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so like it's just like it's so bizarre. It's so cool. I guess it's just all in all, just like the podcast has done things where I've been like I for the last 2 years in particular, I would go to every audition I possibly could, and I did all this stuff, and I was hustling. And
What
I
you
told the
should
story
do,
before.
what you're supposed to do.
And you know what? All in all, I enjoyed it. Like I did all in all enjoy it, but a lot of it was a numbers game for me, and that was fine too. And I've gone to plenty still this year. It's not that, but my dad, I told this story on the podcast before, I think, but like my dad at the top of this year told me, he was like, and I think it was just a mindset thing where he was like, I think you're not gonna go to as many this year as you did last year, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, no, I'm still grinding. He's like,
hustling.
I'm not saying you're not grinding. I'm just saying that I think that you're going to find, and this was like right after I signed with this new agent. And he's like, I think that you're going to find your own peace in certain respects. And I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. I was like, frankly, I don't know. And we didn't have a podcast. We kind of workshopped the ideas of it, and now there's come a point where I've been so focused on this, where I felt so much.
How fun is it, right? To like pour yourself into a project. Oh my god, I could cry. Like it's the best feeling in the whole world when you get excited about something.
And with you, and there's so many downsides to this industry. There's so many, really, not only downsides, unpredictability. That there's
it's all unpredictable.
The whole thing. And if there's something that I found with many of the guests, old, young, press, acting, writing, anything, it's that the community's tight.
Yeah, honey, it's this big.
And that story,
this big.
That story you told, you knowing somebody's from that, when the opportunities come, you hope that you still have, similar to that ladder analogy you gave, you hope that you're still there in that moment and going, I'm completely ready because of all that work I put in from those auditions, because of assisting people getting coffees for them.
And listen, I've been putting in the work for 10 years. I've been here for 10 years, okay? I've been auditioning. I have been around and doing all this press stuff, right? I've worked deep in the press side and the media side of this industry. I have made content for Outsiders, Hadestown, Hamilton. I mean, I've consulted on the number is crazy. The number of shows I've worked on, with the media teams, the marketing teams, the press teams. I know everybody. Now, I'm performing in New York. This year, my 10th year in New York, I do an off-Broadway show, an off-Broadway show, and now another off-Broadway show. 3 shows in New York in the same year. And all these people that I've known for 10 years or who met me in the context of press are coming to see these shows, and they go, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I knew, I knew you were an actor, or like I knew that you were an actor, right? I knew that like you kind of did that, but I knew you from the red carpets. I didn't know that like you were like actually good.
Right.
Like
well, everyone's an actor, right?
Exactly. And my whole thing was I was like, I don't need to prove anything to anyone because the time will come where it will happen organically. Yeah. And I didn't know that it would be this year. I mean, the tour was certainly very validating, right?
Right.
Being able to be like, I'm on the first national tour company playing the role that Matt Doyle won a Tony for. I was like, let's fucking go.
And one of the best Sondheim roles ever, right? Like
ever.
Amy and Jamie are
ever.
It's like, and songs ever.
Yes, ever. So like that was validating enough for me, right? Like I was like, okay, like I guess I am good enough. I guess, like I don't know. And I worked at Paper Mill. I did Rent at Paper Mill, and like absolutely loved that. And again, I was like, okay, I guess I am at this level. But I came back to the city, and I wasn't sure. And this year to be able to like show this thing that I have known that I've had, but I don't know that I was necessarily ready to like do. The timing's right. Like I'm really happy. We were talking about like feeling behind and chasing. You know, for so many years I felt like, oh, why aren't I? And they got this and I didn't book this and whatever. And it's like everything has happened the way that I really think it was supposed to, because right now being like 33, like I could not be playing these roles that I'm doing this year in the way that I'm playing them at a younger age. Right. And my instrument, meaning my body and my spirit and my soul and my mind, like I am in a good enough place that I can handle these things now. Yeah. I'm not the pressure of performing in New York. I don't feel like
how liberating.
I don't feel the stakes that I think I would have felt at 25 years old, right? I'm like, I'm in a basement in the West Village. Like I get to go home to my dog and walk my dog in the morning, and like I need to go like clean my toilet tonight. You know what I mean? Like there's a real life that I have now.
Yeah.
That I think as a younger person, I don't know that I would have been able to see the bigger picture in the way that I see the bigger picture now.
Yeah.
And again, being on tour gave me so much perspective about like what it means to do a show for a long run, or what it means to do a show and then go back to a hotel by yourself every single night. Right now, like I savor the fact that I get to do a show in New York and I get to go home to my apartment and my husband and my dog. Like the timing of it all, as hard as it is, you know, someone asked me like 2 weeks ago, I was having coffee with someone and he was like, how do you, like, I feel like I should be like more farther along, and I see these people booking X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I'm so sorry to say that, like, I literally think the answer is patience.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be patient.
You used to, especially when, like, during the COVID time, when we were in that mindset of, you know, go, 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 that it felt like such a thing that old people would say, kind of. In a funny way. Like, yeah, your grandma's going to tell you, be patient, you know? And now, thinking about it, it's such a, you know, maybe it is deeper than just like be patient in that route, at least for me. But it's also saying, and this is again like an old person saying of, what if you can list 5 things you have? Just list 5 things you have.
That's right.
And then list 5 other things that you have that you could use.
Yeah.
Your brain's gonna turn.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I still find it hard.
Absolutely.
Like, I know these things. And like
so what does being patient look like? For me, being patient looks like continuing to make things, right? Because I'm a creative person, so I have to have creative output, and you're doing that, which is great that you have a project that you can work on, that you're not waiting for someone to give you permission. It's like being kind to the people around you, right? Like forming actual genuine relationships in a way that like it's not about gaining anything from this person. It's actually investing in a friendship and actually being interested in what someone has to say and their perspective and making a good impression on people, right? Like it's all, this business, as much people say like it's all about relationships, it is. It's all about relationships. When you walk in a room, they're not just deciding if like you're right for the role, they're deciding if they want to spend the next however much time they want to spend with you.
Right.
And again, as someone who's worked in every single side of the industry, truly, and again, my husband is an agent who was also a casting director. Like I really have seen so many different angles of this business that I just know that like, we just can't predict basically anything. I could get hit by a truck when I walk out of here today. And so what does that mean for me in terms of like patience? It means like, can I be in this moment with you and like, just embrace the fact that like we're having an amazing conversation in this amazing space that is your friends who built this business. Like I can go down the list, right?
Yeah.
And if I can get into that headspace, which is hard, right? I'm acknowledging like it's a lot hard. It's a lot easier said than done. But if I can get myself in that space, at least for like 2 seconds, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And it's okay to feel like I'm behind or I'm sad today or whatever. Like all those feelings are totally valid. That's fine. I can let myself sit in those feelings, but it doesn't mean that like I'm going to let myself wallow in those feelings or they're going to move. They're going to, yes, everything's going to be tainted by those feelings. Right. No, I'm not taking on, this isn't the right wordage, but it's like, I'm not taking on a victim mentality about the state of where I am in life.
Yeah.
You know?
And it just depends on, at least for actors, it's far more clear to say, because if the goal is still the goal, then yeah, if you have different goals, whatever, but if the goal is really to try and put out the most truthful work you can.
Period.
Right. And your career becoming more famous, whether it's becoming more famous or having more of
it's all
an
byproduct.
It's just not only a byproduct, but it's also step on the ladder of doing more projects for that case.
That's right.
Because Denzel can do that on a massive scope and then do Othello the movie and King Lear the movie and do it on a much larger scope, tell his truth. So when it comes down to a lot of the anxiety, at least in my head, for me, it's like a lot of it is attached to, when we think about gratitude and what we have, a lot of it is attached to when I fight the gratitude, it's only because I had an expectation.
That's right.
If it's a hope and that hope didn't come true, well then man, it was just a hope. It was a dream I had. Cool.
Right.
Yeah, but the broken expectation is hard. It's hard. Which is something we create. We put on we create the expectation.
And then,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I was gonna say just hit me like a truck. I just like, oh my god.
It came.
Yes. Okay. So what I was gonna say was that in relation to this, and when you talk about like the idea of building your own project, and it's like with this podcast, I had first gone into this whole idea of like promotion, and we can talk about new Broadway shows, and we are doing that, and it's great, and I love that part of it. I do, but then what I'm noticing, and this is like on TikTok, I'm noticing it too, but I'm like, we've had Randy Graff on, we had Mark Hoby on, whatever. And the things that people are really attracted to, and the things that I'm noticing like is my favorite parts of having done it, is hearing the moment when Elaine Stritch decided to put on her own encore, or the moment where Randy Graff cut her foot on the set of Les Mis. You know what I mean? And Randy Graff is not on Broadway right now, and she's not promoting essentially anything, but she came in here and she just told me this really beautiful story, and suddenly I was like moved to tears. That was one of my favorite moments we've ever done. Yeah. In it's like it's to me the bread and butter of doing this. Of course. So then suddenly it's, but
you couldn't have known that, right? Like you only learn that from doing the thing.
Exactly.
But of course in the beginning it's like all about like, okay, like we're going to bring in the people from the new shows, and we'll get Jeremy Jordan, and we'll get Casey Levy, and like we're going to have people, like really famous people come in here, and like I'm going to get to meet all these really cool people, and we're going to talk about the shows, and all the press offices are going to want to have me, like, you know, like that's all great. And then all of a sudden you have the Randy Graffs in, and you have this like really honest, genuine conversation that moves you. Yeah. Like your soul is moved in a way that you're like, oh, I didn't expect this to happen. Yeah. And I'm happy to hear like you're leaning into that, because that ultimately, if nothing else, if no one ever hears any of it, right? If this conversation between you and Randy like means something to both of you, then like that is all that matters.
Yeah, it's so true.
And so true. And that's the whole point of you meet your heroes, and it's like they'll become far more human, and it's like for better or for worse.
That's right.
Because when we were, you know, how many podcasts have we had where I was like, I'm going to name one. I was like, oh, there's so many that we've had where when that person becomes a human in our head, we're like, they're not just the video we watch. They're not the character they played.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the reason why I did the red carpet challenge. Right. Because
so I wanted to ask you about that. Like the idea of the red carpet challenge, for those who don't know, because we've talked about it a little bit, but like you were changing up what you were doing depending on what show you were at, right? Yeah. And it's fascinating because I'm watching it, and I used to watch it when it was live on. Like I knew exactly who you were, and that is so crazy to me. No, it's true. But and also to add to it, like because we've grazed on all these topics, like so. Live at 5, I watched every day And also, same thing with Red Carpet
I'm
Challenge.
beaming. Do you see me? I'm like beaming
it's
because
so
it just
true.
makes me so
And-
happy. Like,
and I would watch, like, anytime there was an opening night, and I've told, like, Richie Rich this.
Me too.
I would watch his lives.
Yes, of
I would
course.
sit down in my home, and when the Tonys, I'll never forget,
Oh
like,
my
the
God.
Tonys 2019 and 18 were, like, for me, my peak Broadway era, and I had 3 different tabs open 2 hours before they started, and one was Broadway.com, and one was Playbill,
man,
and
we're
one
theater
was Broadway
kids, you
World.
know? Like,
And-
we're those theater kids,
and
man.
I was switching between the tab, and when Richie would go to commercial, I turned on and saw
Frank Delella.
it was
Yep, right.
and I was just like watching all of them, right? So I knew Live at 5, I knew Red Carpet Challenge, and then I went in for Rent at Paper Mill for Mark, and then when I saw that you got it, I was like, I didn't know he was an actor.
How about that?
Yeah,
that
I
was
knew exactly
that was
who you were.
and that moment moment keeps happening, and I love that moment.
Yeah, like it's like, and so I knew Red Carpet Challenge, and it wasn't until researching you for this that I went, oh, there was no Red Carpet Challenge before your Red Carpet Challenge, and now it's super customary.
It's everywhere.
It is the thing.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's not. It's you know, like, it's kind of amazing because it's everywhere. Not only on Broadway though, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah,
The initial inspo came from Billy on the Street, right? I thought that
Yeah.
form was really
Brilliant.
fun and powerful,
Yeah.
and he was really the only one doing that. I mean, there were certainly there were a couple other Man on the Street style videos, but that was sort of the primary inspiration.
Yeah.
And I thought, again, like I said earlier, like for me, these opening nights, I felt like they should be a celebration, right? It wasn't meant to be a press event where we were going to have a deep conversation about the work. I was like, these people are there to celebrate their opening night. Can I provide them something that's like fun and silly and stupid? What ended up happening was I realized that all of these people, like you were just saying, they have these like roles that they play. They have these like characters that they play in the press or in the world at large. That like the image you see of Kelly Clarkson is crafted.
right.
And what the games did, what the Red Carpet Challenge did, was because you didn't know what the game was going to be, right? I say to Jennifer Hudson at the opening end of Color Purple, I'm like, name 3 things that are purple. And all of a sudden, you don't have a packaged answer. You can't say, man, this show has meant so much to me for such a long time, right? Like you don't have something to say.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden your defenses go down, your wall goes down, and this like moment of truth, this like moment of humanness just happens spontaneously.
Yeah.
And they're like, grapes, and you're watching like the actual person for the first time, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing the real human being.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I became addicted to, that I was like, oh my God, I'm having these like really human moments with these people that have this very crafted persona that are so used to walking down the carpet or going on interviews and doing the same canned answers. And I'm doing it right now, not now, but I'm going on interviews and doing the same thing where I understand how that works. But to be able to break someone out of it was like a trick that I kind of like found that I didn't know I had, that I just like was able to pop someone in. And my job was to make someone feel safe enough to be able to do that, right? That I wasn't going to make fun of them. There was no shame. There was no guilt.
right answer.
There's no, if anything, I want the wrong answer. That's why I would tell people, I'm like, wrong answers only. Please. It's much funnier if the answers are wrong. Right. I'm showing you pictures of outlines of states. Please just name like fruits. Like way funnier if you're not actually getting it right. So anyway, that's all to say that like the Red Carpet Challenge, which it was 5 years that I just like absolutely have so much fondness for. It was like late nights and it was really hard. And
even when I think about like, so like we do bits where we have to come, where I love the game thing. I've loved it since Jimmy Fallon, and I've watched seriously when Jimmy Fallon started the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I was on there every single day. And
Yeah.
so I was watching him do Water Wars, and I still watch his games to this day. Like I'm like, I think they're so innovative. There's nothing like it on late night.
That's right.
And and he kind of like changed
It's a lot.
huge space. But it's a lot.
It's a lot of
and
work.
I'm going, well, this isn't as funny as it used to be. Well, this isn't as good of an idea. Well, this isn't as creative. Well, this isn't. So what are you thinking in the sense that like you're coming up with something that has to do with the show? Like I'll tell you one that I thought was brilliant. That's one of my favorite ones. Was on the red carpet of True West. You did Brothers or Bros. And so you're doing like there was one
that
where
is
it was
the
like,
dumbest idea I've ever heard.
it was so-
What in what world is that a good idea that I'm asking like Adam Driver? Adam fucking Driver. I'm like, are these guys brothers or are they
And so he's going like, I meant to show it to you, Chris. I was like, so he's going like, so it's like Charlie Sheen and
like Martin Sheen or something.
Martin Sheen is his dad. What's the other? Well, I guess there's a Michael Sheen. So it's Charlie Sheen and Michael Sheen, and they're not.
Oh my God, you really remember?
Yes. And so they're not brothers. They're bros. They're bros, right? But you would think that they're brothers, so people were getting it wrong constantly. And then you'd be like Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, and people were like bros, and they're like, no, they're brothers.
And you're like, what?
And it was so funny because it was for True West.
I don't know.
But that's what I mean is like the little things like that. Like it sounds silly, but they do take work, and it takes a creative spark.
Thank you.
To have to.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking in terms of like?
Oh my God,
the stress of having.
I cannot possibly take credit for even half. Like it was such a collaborative process in the sense that like when I was at the office, I was asking everybody around me like, what the fuck? What dumbass game can we come up with? And how dumb can we make it? Like,
right.
What is the dumbest idea that we have?
Right.
Like, what's the idea that you're like, that is so fucking stupid.
Right.
That should not, again, like color purple, like name 3 things that are purple. You're like, what? Like,
great.
What? But why not? Like I wanted it to be so far off. It was people in the office. It was calling like my mom and being like, do you have any ideas for this show?
Yeah.
Like because again, for a show like True West, it's like, what the fuck are you going to do for True West? Yeah. But there was so much freedom in feeling like, oh, let's just like try something. And to be fair, they weren't all great. Like,
sure,
there's some of them, like they're not all hits. And there were nights that we filmed that like that video never came out because I would come back to the office, I would edit it, and I'd be like, there's nothing here. Like, there's just not enough of a video here. Now, granted, it's a different time now, right? Like now, the TikTok clips would be very, very different.
Yeah.
But and I think one of the things I will take credit for with the Red Carpet Challenge was the editing. I edited every single episode of that show, and I really, really pride myself because I think so much of the comedy, so much of the humor of those videos came from the timing of the editing.
Right.
Because for me, that is the music. The musicality of how those videos were edited was what made those videos actually work.
Were you thinking about making the games like attainable, like did it like, I guess what was coming first? Were you like, because like you did one with David Byrne's American Utopia, right, that I watched yesterday, and I was like,
terrible video.
Well, but it's
terrible game.
No, it's definitely not terrible. But
what did I do? It was a bad game.
The game was kind of like finish the David Byrne lyrics.
Yeah, like the most basic bullshit nonsense game you could possibly like not creative at all.
But the thing about it was that I was watching it, and it was funny. It was very funny. But the thing about it is that I was like, the second the game started, I was like, are they gonna know? Like, people are here at David Byrne's opening night, but they might have not heard of David Byrne song.
That's true.
They're there because of it's an event. So, but the way that it kind of just like spun on its axis, and you're also dealing with actors and comedians, and Alex Brightman gave you this like hysterical answer, and like, you know, but still, it's like, were you thinking about like, let's make this an attainable thing that you could do, that you would know the answer to, or were you thinking more towards the comedy?
The comedy. Yeah. I don't care if people know the answers. And I was actually hoping people wouldn't know the answers, right? Like, I want to make something that's challenging enough that someone's going to be like, God damn it. Like, I don't want to have to think about that. Like, that's hard. And something like American Utopia, like, the trap of that is thinking like, oh my God, everybody's going to know all of them.
Yeah.
It was so, but it was always the goal was the comedy, always like that. It's because my goal was to entertain,
right?
Not only in the video, not only in delivering the video, because that was what was going to get engagement, but because again, I'm not doing long form interviews on the red carpet. That's not what I'm there to do. It was quick, quippy, but again, providing value to these people. Like, can I make this game silly and stupid and fun enough that this person is going to be like, oh, this is fun and like dumb, and I don't feel the pressure of like having to get this right. Like, we're at the opening night of Jagged Little Pill, and I'm asking people, is it ironic, right? Like, that pulling from an Alanis Morissette song and using that, and people are going, oh, this is fun. Like, let's just have stupid and be stupid and silly with this. It's providing value in the form of entertainment, both for the viewers, but also for the people that are present and like are actually I'm interviewing on the carpets.
Did you ever have people, and you don't have to name names, who were not game? Who didn't want to do it?
Victor Garber.
Sure.
was like, oh, I don't play games. I was like, I love that for you. Love that for you.
Yeah.
I would much rather that than someone come and be an asshole, right? Like I never pressured anybody because I was like, if you don't want to play, that's fine with me. And as the years went on, people started to know. Like people started to know that that's what I did. And so the press reps would be like, you're not going to talk to this person. Or they'd be like, oh my God, let me go get you this person from the ensemble because they're so funny and so quick-witted that I think they're going to be great for your videos. Right. So that's where like the collaboration starts coming in. And that's why I started to form all these relationships with the press offices because all these press reps, because I was working at Broadway.com and doing all these red carpets, which is such a, like, it is chaos, these Broadway red carpets. I mean, red carpets in general, but like, those events are so chaotic that like we're all working together towards the same goal, which is like we just want to get eyes on the show. And again, that was my goal, right? It was about like getting people's attention for a show that like they may not have any interest in at all, but they see this funny video and they're like, oh wow, those actors seem kind of fun, and look at all those people that were at that opening night. Like maybe that's something I should go see.
And the game in association with the show only enhances the idea of the show.
Yes, but that was the hard part, was like being like, do I need to have the game tied directly to the show, or can I do something that's like 2 steps away? That's close enough, but not like it doesn't need to be completely tied.
Yeah, but it's and like you said, riding this thin line because like. And this is like an out there situation, like the Tony Danza situation that happened a couple of years ago, where like it was on the red carpet of New York, and someone had asked him games to do with New York, and Tony Danza was like, "You should get some, whatever," and he was just like, and he dismissed it, and then wound up having to apologize, whatever. But I imagine that those situations happen all the time because of how unexpected it was.
All the time, and also I didn't take it personally because it's not about me. It's like, listen, if you don't want to play a game and be silly and fun, that's totally fine. Betsy Wolf does. Brandon Uranowitz does. Jesse Tyler Ferguson does. Right. Like Jonathan Groff, Gavin Creel. Like these people were always game because they're like, oh my God, we're gonna Broadway opening night. Who cares? Like it doesn't really matter, right? Like that's the other thing too. The glamour of Broadway, for me, got stripped away very quickly when I worked at 54 Below. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, this thing that I felt like was at a distance from me, it's actually not like that fancy.
Yes.
Right? So doing these opening nights, I was not treating fancy people like they were fancy. Like Bernadette Peters is walking over to me and I'm going to treat her like she's like my girlfriend from high school, right? I'm like, hey girl, like let's play a game because, and you know what? A lot of times, not everybody, but a lot of times people like are grateful to be treated like that. They don't want to be treated like, Bernadette, it's so nice to meet you. I'm such a fan of your work. Can we talk about the show? And also the other thing that was happening, which is just like a sidestep, but you're interviewing people before the show starts and you would ask people like, so what are you excited to see tonight? It's like, what kind of question is that? I haven't seen the show. I'm here to see X. It's like, what kind of, there's nonsense answers. You know what I mean? And as someone who is a fan of Broadway media like you, that was consuming all of this content of Broadway, I didn't care about that stuff. The thing I wanted to do was I wanted to be entertained. I wanted to like the people that I was fans of.
Right.
And the Red Carpet Challenge was
it certainly did that.
Yeah, was there a moment when you realized, wow, this is so silly, and these people are completely game? Is there a person, celebrity, you're just shocked?
Bernadette. Yeah, that's why I bring it up. That's the one I bring up all the time because it just was so. Someone who I, you idolize. Like talk about musical theater. Like that's someone who I just adored, and she ended up being so generous and so kind. Joel Grey too. Like there was just so many people that, I mean, Gavin, like, like that people, Jonathan Groff, like that were just always, Brandon Uranowitz. Like it's again, all these names I say, and the reason why they're the ones that pop up is because they were consistent characters in the series, which also started to happen too. Which if you've watched them all, like, like there started to be like these recurring people that would pop up over and over again, and you'd be like, oh, I know they're gonna have something funny to say. It was like really Stephanie J. Block. Like there were people that I just was like, oh, thank God, like they're fun and silly and like ready to have a good time. And it's so funny, like Jessie Mueller came and saw Beau downtown, and she came up and she was like, oh, she loved the show and was like, oh my God, it's so wonderful to meet you. And I was like, it's so funny, like we've met. Like I used to play like crazy, you probably don't remember, but I used to play crazy games on the red carpets for Broadway open nights. And she was like, I don't remember. And I was like, it's totally fine. But she was always game,
funny.
you know? But like
funny.
that's okay. But there are some people
Yeah.
like Brandon that I like end up forming like real relationships with, like actual friendships. Yeah. So but I think the one for me was Bernadette, you know? And my mom would call me every morning after they got posted and would be like, oh my God, you had this person and this person and this person who like
Yeah.
I couldn't give two shits about,
Sure.
but was a television star from the 80s and
sure,
90s,
sure,
right? That I was
sure.
like, who is this? They're
Yeah.
like, she was on the Brady Bunch. I'm like, okay.
Well, how did you know who was coming? Like, well, I guess, how did you know do you get a breakdown of who was coming on the red carpet?
Yeah.
You
So
did,
what they
okay.
do is they send, they'll send the media outlets because they want coverage, right? So the
Yeah.
press offices who cover the show, they will send out a release to all of the outlets,
Yeah.
not just Broadway outlets. They'll send them to NBC and ABC and the Today Show. They want outlets to come, of
course.
So they're sending out this list of people that are going to be there, or who they think are going to be there, or who have confirmed they're going to be there, in hopes that these outlets are going to say, oh, that's a good enough list that like I want to have a soundbite from this person.
Right.
Now the Broadway openings, like, guess what? Broadway.com, Playbill, like we're going. Like that
Yeah, of
was
course.
not even a question. Now it's a little iffy, and it's a different. They've actually taken a different form. Like now they only do them before. It used to be that we would do guests before and then the cast of the show after. So I would have to go
Right.
before the show. I would not see the show, so I'd go get dinner with like all the other press people. We would go get dinner, and then we would go to the venue, and we'd wait for the cast to arrive. And this, again, like this is a 2.5 hour show, right? We go to the venue, wait for the cast to arrive, which is even later. The cast is exhausted. So they're coming to the opening night party. They want to be with their
then doing
friends.
all their
They want to
press.
be with their friends. Like they want to see their family, and they're walking down the press line. But they don't do that anymore. But anyway, they send a press sheet saying like, here's who's coming. So we would get there, and they would hand us a face sheet, basically, to be like, here's everyone that's confirmed that's coming. Let us know who you want. And then as people walk down, you'd be like, can I get that person? Can I get that? Like it's a lot of that that goes on.
Gotcha.
That's why I say like it was such a collaborative. It's such a collaborative thing that people don't realize. That's why like when I watch like the Emmys red carpet, the thing I'm watching is like all the managers and press agents
Publicists, all the
behind like moving around in the back. Like to me, that's the show,
Yeah.
because they are doing so much crazy coordination while these people are having a conversation. It's a whole media circus that, again, like for me was so valuable
Right.
for me as an actor to
Yeah.
see, because again, it took away the stakes and the glamour
Right.
in a way that it humanized it. We were talking about that earlier. Like it humanized the industry in a way that I felt like, oh, I am a part of this. It's not above me in any way.
Right.
Like I'm not looking at these opening night videos going like, oh, I wish I was there, because I'm like, these people that person is sitting in the back row of the fucking balcony, but they're walking the carpet, taking a picture. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
not, it's so much more than what we
different
see,
perspective, for sure.
And I thought it was valuable as an actor to be able to have that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So the reason why you're here is because you commented on one of our posts recently.
That's right.
And we had posted this thing saying that, and I had mentioned this frankly, is like still getting down to the bottom of press versus marketing, and their different jobs and their positions. And you had commented on it saying that you would love to come on to discuss that thing.
So we haven't even talked about it yet.
I know, but that's like, I'm like, okay, great. If you ever want to come on our show, I guess just to comment, and I see them, so I see all the comments, even the mean ones. So I see
Like,
all of
why?
them.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I see all
why
of
say
them.
something mean?
I see all of them, but no. So tell me the biggest distinction, the biggest differences between press teams. And
Yes.
marketing.
Okay. So let me give the background here. The
Yes.
background is, like we've talked about, I worked in the media,
Right.
and I worked on the press side of
Yes.
the industry. I also, as a content creator, as someone with an A73, I have worked with all of the marketing agencies for the shows in making content for the shows, right?
Yeah.
Like I did 3 original series for Dear Evan Hansen when Dear Evan Hansen was on Broadway. Like I've done content for the shows. And I'm an actor who's in shows. I was in Ren and Company. So like I know what the marketing side looks like from the inside, and as an actor from like being inside the actual piece.
Yes.
So my POV on marketing and press as a whole, especially in theater, I feel is a unique perspective, which is the reason why I started this newsletter that I have called Fourth Wall, where literally every single week this year I've written a piece about just some part of the industry that's interesting to me, and trying to just navigate or be like an archaeologist and like dig through it a little bit deeper with all this experience that I've had. Because for so long, like I said, I was like, what is the thing that makes me unique? And I was like, oh, wait, it's the thing that I have seen every single side of this industry. My husband being an agent and a casting director. Like, I have so much, I just have a wide understanding and a wide lens. So when it comes to marketing and press, right now, the way that things are working, which there was a really, really incredible conversation that Ruthie from Broadway News just did a roundtable with all of the executives from the biggest press agencies, or the biggest marketing companies in theater. And it's like an hour long, and I think it's worth watching just because I think so many of us, we are consuming the marketing for the shows, and we have opinions on the marketing of the shows, but we don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And so it was really interesting to hear them talk about it. But right now, the way that it operates is that there's the marketing companies, there's the big agencies. So you have the AKAs, you have the Spotcos, RPM. Like, there's these big agencies that are in charge of the marketing of these shows, the key art, the tone of voice for the marketing, the campaigns, the strategies, the look and feel of the shows and how they get presented online or just in general in the media. Then you have press offices. So that's like O&M, BBB, and
Vogue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those companies, they are working with the outlets to basically get their clients, the shows, into a Vogue, into the New York Times. Like, they're the ones that are sending out their clients to do interviews. That's who, when I went and did an interview today on like a local television show, it was the press office that took me there.
Right.
This morning, I did a photo shoot for the show. That was the marketing team that was there. So that's why when he was like, they're one and the same, I was like, not quite. Like, they operate together, they work together, but they are separate. And what's happened now is what's starting to happen is now there's the social media piece of all of this is operating separately from these marketing companies. So some of the marketing companies have in-house social media, and they run the social media themselves. That does happen a lot, and that's how it started. Because of course, it's under the umbrella of marketing is social media and community management and stuff like that. Right. Unfortunately or fortunately, like in the beginning of social media, we're thinking like early 2000s, mid 2000s, social media was seen as secondary. It was not, it wasn't a main thing for these people. And if you watch this roundtable, you'll hear them all say that like the thing that they've realized is that social media, especially organic social media, is just as valuable, if not more, than the paid billboard in Times Square, the full page ad in the New York Times, the radio spot. And so now the resources that are being allocated to the marketing budgets as a whole, they're changing. And where they're getting allocated is changing. And now what's happening is there are companies that are only doing social media. I'm talking about like, and that's Showbiz. They're doing marketing, but they're primarily a social media agency. Catherine Quinn, like doing an unbelievable job. Maybe Happy Ending, Great Gatsby. That's all Catherine Quinn's company. John Proctor is the villain. Oh Mary, that's Austin Sparrow. That's one person. Austin is doing that all on their own. All of it by themselves. That is a separate thing now from the marketing companies. They're working with the marketing agency, but they're operating in their own world because the truth is organic marketing, especially organic social, especially paid is a little bit closer to like traditional marketing because we're running ads, but organic social, which is maybe the most valuable because now that is word of mouth. Right. That is how these shows spread. That is how people know about shows. But both All the World's a Stage, the show that I did in the spring, and Beau, which I did downtown this summer that we're now doing again, the only reason that those shows sold was because of organic word of mouth. Not because of paid ads, because of organic word of mouth. People posting on TikTok being like, oh my God, I just saw the show and I'm fucking obsessed with it. Right. And that video being seen by however many people and then people going and buying tickets. Right. And what's so funny is that is still shocking to people. Like that is still surprising to people that's happening is a little bit scary because you're like, oh, this has been going on a really long time. But now it has crossed over in a way, and like the watershed has happened enough that now these shows from the get, right? Like Chess, from the beginning, it was about like, what does their social look like? What does their presence on social look like, right? Or Cat's the Jellicle Ball, from the get-go, they're thinking about what is our voice on social media? What do the captions read like? What does it look like visually on our social channel? Because all of that is important. We want to get people into seats. And how do we do that? We get people to spread the message, spread awareness. So even if it's always been true that people don't really buy or purchase something until they've gotten like 5 touch points on something. But now with organic social, we can get things in front of people much sooner. So if you see someone talking about Cat's the Jellicle Ball, and then you see that they posted a really funny meme video, and then you see an ad of theirs running on your social channel, and then you see another TikTok about it, and you hear someone talking about it in the coffee shop, well, now you're like, maybe I got to go see this. You know, it's about like building awareness basically. And I think you'll see in this roundtable that I'm going to write about this week is that is where I think that is where the primary amount of energy is going. Yeah. Is about how can we get these shows, how can we create the most amount of awareness about a show in a way that is organic. And that's happening from influencer marketing, that's happening from just organic social and people posting about stuff, but it's hard to control and it's hard to measure. It's not as easy to measure as traditional marketing is, whereas like we could run a TV ad and see that in the next, 4 hours, ticket sales bump like that, right? We can't, it's harder to gauge on social. So But it's hard to know, right? And we don't know that, right? And maybe the video that you watched last week, next week, or this week, you watch a video last week, and this week you go on the website and buy a ticket, right? Like we can't quite measure that.
And how many times does it take? How many times does the outsiders pop up need to show up for it to really get into
It's like
your
5
system?
or 6. 5 or 6 is what they typically say. And I think like traditional marketing terms is like 5 or 6 touch points before it actually saturates, and you're like, huh.
Yeah, see that's crazy. That's crazy because
Christmas, where people are just going to come here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too.
That hits 5 or 6.
But they have to decide what shows they're going to see, right? So they're coming here for Christmas, they're seeing 3 shows, and they're like, okay, well, what are we going to see? The other thing that's happening, which is another big shift that I think is really interesting, is that people are not purchasing tickets as far in advance as they used to, right? So like the advance on a show used to be a huge part of it, but now people are more often purchasing tickets like week of or day of.
Wow.
As opposed to 6 weeks out, 10 weeks out. And so it's harder for shows to know how a show is going to run. And again, one TikTok, one social media post can change the game, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, Sunset Boulevard, I give you 2 examples. The bullhorn moment with Nicole Scherzinger on the bullhorn, right? Like that saturates social media, and all of a sudden, like I'm sure their ticket sales got a little bit of a bump because there was attention.
Yeah.
Okay, but then the comment that Nicole Scherzinger makes on Russell Brand's post about his MAGA hat circulates, and like how does that affect sales, right? So like anything can happen at any moment. And it's all like a little bit unpredictable, so much so that like I think what's happening is a lot of the producers of these shows, it's uncomfortable. It's hard. It's hard to wrap your brain around.
And that's why stunt casting is so reliable.
That's right.
You know, what I mean? It's like one of the only reliable things.
Right.
And this, and this is the thing that first thing you said when you were mentioning organic was that this used to happen. I'm not going to say by accident because people were posting it, but in any other industry, it almost felt like it didn't happen in the same incidental way that it did with theater. Meaning, our Mr. Beast knew what he was doing. He was saying, listen, I want to be a famous YouTuber when that wasn't a thing.
Yes.
David Dobrik, these people. Whereas,
it's almost secondary.
Right. Whereas someone with just posted Heathers, a bootleg, and it incidentally, almost accidentally, soared. And now Heathers is what Heathers is. The different people playing Alpha Boy, which was already big. Wicked and Wizard of Oz was already big. But it's sustaining what it's sustaining, going they couldn't have seen that. That wasn't planned.
Well, look at-
it was just some random fan.
Look at Little Shop.
Shop.
Like Little Shop is such a great example of like okay, who's next? Oh, who are they going to announce to be the next?
Yeah.
And they've defied the expectations 7 times over of like Elphaba has her own mold, but like with Little Shop at this
It could
point,
be anybody. It could be any age, right? We've had Sherry Renee Scott. We've had we have young, old. It does not matter.
At all. Nothing matters at this point, which is kind of like the opportunities are limitless.
But all of the shows now, every show is thinking from the beginning, what is our online presence going to be? And that's the thing that's different. And I think they were saying,
Yeah, it's extremely smart because now you're taking that incidental moment that Heather's and going, let's do it on purpose.
they have to do it on purpose. There is, if you don't, you are basically not, you don't exist. Well, you don't exist.
It's free.
You don't really exist. If people don't know about you, then like you don't really exist. Sure, there are going to be a couple of shows that are like high-end plays that like are going to probably get the attention of the theater community within and of itself, and like it'll be fine. But for a new musical, like if you don't have an online presence at all, like no one knows about your show. And the other thing that is the other side of this coin is we have shows like Epic that like is a giant online musical. Giant. That we have not seen how that then affects like ticket sales, right? Like Be More Chill was an interesting experiment in that because they had an online fandom and they thought maybe we can bring this in and it will do well. And it didn't work out, I think, the way that they maybe expected it to. But that was an early experiment into what I think is going to start happening more and more and more. That like if you can build an online presence for your show, which now I think every show is doing or is trying to do, it just makes all the difference.
Well, it's also very interesting to see then, like I could follow the shows that I care about. But if you look at the follower count for some of these shows, the numbers are wild. It is not one of those things where it's like, well, because you're into theater, you're going to go follow and then therefore go see X, Y, and Z.
That's right.
Because I could be a fan of maybe Happy Ending, but I haven't heard about especially if I'm not in New York. So then suddenly, because you have a bigger social media presence, like there are some shows that will have something like, I remember this was like 2 years ago, that New York season. It's like some shows had like 20K, 25K that were coming in. So they haven't started yet, but they're about to start.
Yeah.
And they're walking in with that kind of presence versus others that were like at like 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, that's a major difference. It's numbers.
It's
not
huge.
really.
And I think now, especially now, like people are far less concerned with the number of followers, and it's all about like reach and engagement. Because the truth is, if the Heathers, the off-Broadway Heathers can get videos that are generating 500,000, 1 million views, like, and they don't have that many followers, like that's good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And these shows are all also thinking about now. This has always been true, but it feels like now, especially, shows are trying to create a moment, right? We want, when you go to see a show, we want you to post about it. We want you to share it online because that's the only way that people are going to hear about it. Your friend's mom, who heard from this friend's mom that you saw maybe Happy Ending because Darren Criss was in it and it was a cute little musical and they performed on the Tonys, like that word of mouth spreads in ways that we can't possibly predict.
Yeah.
But what we can do is make the experience of going to a show, we can enhance the experience of going to a show.
For sure.
We can do the best we can that when you walk into the theater, there's something to share, something to post.
Right.
I never thought about it like that. It seems like, and I'm trying to think if it ever happened back in the day where, in any other time but now, where we're talking about this like free advertising that social media is.
That's right.
To where referrals now from influencers, referrals are free advertising.
That's right. Well, influencers are well, that's right. So that's the other thing too now is like, that's why I was saying the other piece of this is now influencer marketing. And that's shifting crazy too, because sometimes a giant influencer, like, can they actually
Have that much influence.
Exactly. But sometimes a small influencer has a really dedicated audience that they really trust. So like there's a couple theater TikTokers that I follow whose opinions I find that I like really align with. And if they really like a show, I'm like, I really want to go see that. I'm actually really curious. And if they don't, I'm like, okay, I'm good. to me, that's an interesting dynamic that like now.
But what that is true in a perverse way or like a modern way, whatever you want to say, is the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, you know what I mean? Like people before were looking and going, I really align with
That
the New
is
York Times.
exactly right.
And now, you know, whatever. So, and there are certain people where you look at it and you go like, well, I really like what.
But it's just happening on a smaller scale now.
Yeah.
Right?
Or even more curated.
That's
scale.
right.
That's what your algorithms are.
Yes.
In such volume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, all that to say that like now having been inside of 2 new musicals this year,
Yeah.
and being on a tour where like we were trying to sell in every single market across the country,
Right.
and a show that is not like a popular show.
No.
Like Company, it's not even Sweeney Todd. Like
Right.
this is a company, people don't even know what the hell this show is.
Right.
It was a real challenge to educate people enough to get them to come. Now, granted, a lot of these theaters in these regions, they have a subscriber base. So they're already coming. But how can we get that subscriber base excited about the shows? And that was the thing for me that was so eye-opening about tour was I just learned about all these markets that I didn't really know like how those things operated.
Yeah.
And now I have a much deeper understanding of like they have to build word of mouth too in a way that's organic even to their subscribers.
Yeah.
Because even though the subscribers are coming, like, are they excited? Are they going to tell their friends about it? Are they going to try to get people in? You know, like Cleveland has the highest number of subscribers in the entire country. I think it's like 45,000 or something like that. And that's the highest. Like that's also not a lot. Like there are theaters all over the country that are trying to get the thing that I say all the time is like butts and seats.
Yep.
Like that is what we're going for is we all have the same goal, which is we just want people to go see theater. I want people to have the experience that I had. I want to turn everybody into a theater kid. Like I want people to go have the experience of going to see a show in the way that I experience a show.
And sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Well, we think a lot about when we think about commercial theater. We think a lot about the money, and that's important, and all this other stuff. But capacity tends to be a little bit more just like neglected, and capacity is just as important. If you're looking at sometimes, yes, don't get me wrong, the money trumps it in the sense that if you're making enough money and you're at a 60% capacity, okay, great. However, if you have a low capacity, that is a problem in and of itself. You know,
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a really high capacity and you're not making, that money, but God, you're filling in those.
And so for me, like, again, this thing I said earlier about like me not believing in binaries, you know, that for me is across the board, right? I'm sure gender is one thing, but like I apply that everywhere. So yes, I understand that the money is important. I understand that shows need money to run. Totally. There's enough pessimism in the world right now. There's enough negativity in the world right now that the thing I want to know is like how many people are seeing shows every week, which is why I literally made a website, buttsandseats.xyz, where like we'll show you every single week. All it will show you is how many shows are running and how many people saw shows, because that to me, that number is like a small little hug to be like, look at all the people that got to see a show last week. That is exciting. That motivates me to want to make more and keep going. That's the thing I'm after. So I understand that it's a bigger picture. I know that money is important, but I just want people to see shows.
But there's a reason also why certain shows go on tour and do better on tour, right? Because that is a representation of that. I want to call this out though because you mentioned it. So this week there are 28 shows. This past week you posted that there are 28 shows happening.
Honey,
on
it's automated. I built that. Oh yes, it does it on its own.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. But so 28 shows on Broadway at the moment, and 240,283 butts.
That's almost a quarter of a million people.
That's amazing.
Saw a show this week,
Right.
And that's only on Broadway.
Right.
Because that's the only public information that we have.
Right.
We don't know London. We don't know anywhere else on the globe. We don't know local.
Even off Broadway, but even
off Broadway. We don't know any local markets in the United States.
And we should also mention that we're in a time of the year that is significantly lower than any other time in the year. Come 4 weeks from right now, when this episode comes out, there will be significantly more shows and therefore significantly more butts
So
and
my
seats.
dream with Butts and Seats, which is it's a nonsense project that really doesn't have any other inherent value than like making me smile, basically, is I would love to be able to like have theaters all over the country contribute their attendance every week
Yeah.
And so that we can have like a collective giant number of how many people saw a show last week.
Yeah.
To me, that seems like, again, talk about something that like motivates me to want to keep making stuff and want to keep like being in the theater and keep going. Like that number makes me happy. The gross is like, I know it's important, but there are plenty of people that can do that. The thing that I can provide is like this small snapshot to say like, look at how many people are seeing shows.
Right. So I want to mention this because this is also like you talk about pessimism and like the idea about the notion of theater is dying and all this other, for lack of a better word, just like bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's because, and I only say that because it's just like it's an ebb and flow thing, right? Because the idea is like TV is also dying and film is also
everything's dying.
Everything's dying. So
I mean, democracy is dying. You know what I mean? Like we who knows? Who knows? Right? Exactly.
So exactly, yeah. People are dying. It's just like, and it goes to your point about this thing that you posted in Fourth Wall News, which is the idea that pessimism is like attractive, right? The idea is that like the headline of this like pessimistic ideas are more attractive than the optimistic news, right? But I want to read this specific quote that you wrote because it meant something to me. So you said, psychologists call it the broaden and build effect. Hope and joy expand our perspective, fuel our creativity, and strengthen our resilience. Negativity narrows, optimism widens. Without hope, we shrink. Ellipses. That's why optimism matters, not as a mood, but as a condition of possibility.
Ugh,
right?
I like literally like I cry hearing that. Like to me, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Like listen, again, like we're in a world that there's so much heaviness.
Yeah.
There's so much heaviness. And the thing that we offer in theater to me is hope and optimism. Like at its best, for me, you go into a theater and you're getting to share this singular moment with this room full of strangers. You're seeing these characters, you're hearing this music, it's moving you in some way, and you're able to like feel something that you're not feeling outside of that space. I feel like we just need hope. Like I'm constantly in need of hope.
Yeah.
And the idea that like hope and optimism actually gives us, I mean, literally psychologists have told us this, that like it makes us more creative. It makes us more empathetic. Like it's not just like for fun. Like we are better human beings when we have hope and optimism in our hearts, in our lives more. And it's hard right now. Mm-hmm. It is heavy right now.
Yeah,
it just is.
But I will say it's very easy to lean into cynicism.
Yeah,
but it is a poison, right? It is like it really is. So like
it narrows. That was the thing, right? It narrows, right?
Exactly.
All of a sudden, the window of life, because we were talking about this earlier, right? If I can be present in this moment with you, and just say like, okay, here we are. We're having this conversation. It's been a beautiful conversation. You and I this is the first time we're meeting. This is the first time we're meeting. Right. And I feel like you've gotten to know me in a really true and honest way. And I've gotten to know you in a really true and honest way, right? Like this moment was beautiful and wonderful. But if I came in here and the only thing I'm thinking about is the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off of ABC last night, which don't get me wrong, it's like on my heart and mind.
Sure.
But what starts to happen is that my purview narrows, and so I can't see the beauty of this moment.
Right.
I can't see the beauty of walking my dog in the morning.
Sure.
I can't see how lucky I am. We're talking about gratitude. I can't see how lucky I am that like I get to call my mom when I leave here, right? Like
Enjoy a show.
I get to be in rehearsal tomorrow. Like I lose perspective. And I understand how intoxicating that is. I know how intoxicating it is, and it's the reason why they're pushing that so hard on us. And I say they as like this like general thing, but it's the reason why we are so addicted to these headlines and these ideas.
Really, attention seekers, because that's kind of what, not only news are, but a lot of people posting things that want it, they're, for lack of a better word, attention seekers, to where even dating back to Merrily, Sondheim, the idea was, let's pull this guy down who had so many successes, and he said that in the documentary where he was like, they wanted to have something on me.
Yeah.
That's his flop. Right. That was his thing.
Right.
That was his...
And we could go into like this huge, all the political warfare that's happening right now, and that's been happening. But I will say, and this is something that's like kind of not disputed, but like right now, a huge motivation of political warfare, a huge tactic of political warfare is the bots that are on social media. Now, those bots are not telling you how beautiful you are today. Those bots are not telling you they love you. Those bots are telling you the worst things you could imagine. They're not real, and they're funded by countries and people that are from outside. And what they're doing is, and these are social media, this is social media, and this is happening all over social media, and what it's creating is like a hubbub of hate. And that's not really that's not like conspiracy. Like that's just what it is, and that's just a mode of, like, you could call it the modern day Cold War, or whatever it is. It's happening.
The other piece that I just think is important to say is that, like, I'm not advocating for passivism, right?
No.
I'm not advocating for only seeing hope. The reason why I'm talking about all this in the way that I'm talking about this is because hope and optimism and joy and humor and light and perspective, all of those things are fuel for the fight. We need those things in order to show up, to do what needs to be done to make the changes that we want to see.
Right.
We can't possibly make changes, take action from being depleted. Right? I need to have food in my body in order to move through my day. If I'm starved, I can't do anything. And so for me, what the theater can do, what social media can do, what optimism and hope and all these things we're talking about can do, is they can be food and fuel us to take the action that we need to take. Because don't get me wrong, like, I'm pissed, I'm scared, all that is true. In order for me to do what needs to be done, or take action, or to, like, actually move forward and do something, I need to have the energy. And these things, the hope, the optimism, that's what's going to fuel me and give me the power to do the thing that I need to do.
And the idea of passivism and passive optimism especially is, like, it's almost like the analogy being like, if you're walking down the street and there was something horrific that happened next to you and you completely disregard it and you just move on as if it didn't happen, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're encouraging. We're still encouraging the idea of being knowledgeable and well-rounded and all these other things, rather than just, like, shutting down.
And educated, right?
The hope is what would be the intention behind the help.
Right. Absolutely.
And
behind the idea of empathy, like the idea that, like, you can look at something and with your optimistic perspective, hope that, you know, you'll see a brighter day. Hope that, you know what I mean? And you know, but that doesn't mean you're disregarding it.
No, and I listen, and I thought Colbert said it so beautifully at the Emmys this weekend, where he was like, I have never believed in this country more, right? Like, he's like, let's not stop fighting. Like, I believe in the idea of democracy. That hope that I have, that belief that I have, is the thing that fuels me to keep fighting. The thing that will defeat us is if we become passive, is if we start to become numb, is if we, all of that, letting things just happen. And I saw someone on the news last night say, like, don't let your shock fade. Like, keep surprise in your life, because as soon as you stop being shocked and surprised, that's when they have won. Is they're able to pull things on us that we aren't able to, like, recognize, because everything's like, oh yeah, here we go again, right?
Well, because the notion is that it's very easy when everyone's telling you that the world is ending to believe that the world is ending.
That's
but
right.
in fact, you can look at it and go, well, the world seems like it's been ending
forever.
You know, like,
it's like, whether there are things that are successes with what we were talking about earlier, career-wise, whatever it is, whether they're mistakes, those two things, for me at least, go hand in hand. Sometimes I'd rather make a mistake than because I can have something to learn from. And what I get a little scared of is the stagnation.
That's right.
And sometimes, like you were saying about the comment sections, or things that I physically cannot change unless I do that. And that's something I can change. Maybe in my mom's life, maybe in my sister's life, maybe in someone I don't know across the world's life, maybe in
my dog's life.
Your dog's life.
Right.
And that doesn't feel like stagnation. And I feel like if we spread more of that, I can't really see how it would hurt.
yeah.
Listen, my core belief, which is on the headline on my website, is like, I really believe that love is who we are, right? You can talk about God is love, whatever you want to call it. For me, the thing that is all of us is this chair, is that hair on your arm, is this table, is these lights. the sounds that we're making, all of it is made up of energy, right? We know that. It's all love. And so everything that I'm doing, from fourth wall to sitting here having this conversation with you, to calling my brother, to doing Beau on stage, all of it is in service of trying to return to love. Yeah. That is what I'm ultimately after, right? We act, there's only two things. We either act out of love or we act out of fear, period. That's it. And I try as best I can to act from a place of love. And that can be like, there can be righteous anger in that too, right? The love I have for my country, the love I have for my trans friends, the love I have for my queer friends, the love I have for my black friends. Like I'm acting from that place of love, not acting from a place of fear.
Sure.
Right? That's where my courage comes from.
Sure.
Is the channeling of that love. And I think that's what theater at its best does. Is like it injects love into our veins, but into the world at large, that we're able to go in, have a collective experience.
I was going to say it's the fact that it's collective.
Yes, it's collective effervescence is what it's called. Where we're in a crowd and all of a sudden we're feeling something that feels like we are reminded for a moment that we're a part of something larger than ourselves, right? we're let out of our own little cages and we're a part of something that's bigger. In that moment, that's love. And so that's what theater gives us. That's why I fell in love with theater in the first place. Yeah. Because this lonely kid from Chicago, Illinois, who was queer and felt like an outsider and didn't know what to do with himself, all this creativity, was able to sit in a theater and go, oh my God, I'm a part of something. I feel a part of something. And it wasn't just like that I was a part of like the theater community. It was like, I'm a part of this audience watching this show.
Right.
These strangers and I are all sharing this singular experience.
Right.
The more of that I can create for the world, like the more collective experiences that I can create for the world, the more love I can spread into the world, like that is the thing that I'm ultimately after. And that, again, it's everything from like what I'm doing on stage, what I'm putting out in the world, to how I'm showing up in rooms, right? Like right here, right now, the way that I'm showing up in this room, I'm not coming in here thinking I'm doing you a favor by being here, right? Sure. Like I'm showing up with my whole heart, with my honest self. Like I'm trying to show up with love in every single thing that I do, because I truly believe that like those small little acts of love are the thing that actually moves the needle forward.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that in terms of love, at least for my life. And this definitely has a correlation psychologically as well, where the reason why I do at least is because I know what the opposite looks like. The opposite, I know in my life what I can look like when I've spewed hate or when someone spewed hurt people, right? That's right. So, if someone is, having love is also having grace for someone who's going through that, and also having hope that maybe they will see their own version of what that love means through their experience as well.
Yeah.
We could do 3 episodes.
I know. No, it's great. I want to talk about Beau. Let's talk about Beau.
Yes.
So you have been a part of this for so long, and I've been hearing about it for so long, and I missed it when it was uptown this spring.
Downtown
this spring, because now it's uptown. But talk to me about it. You're Ace.
Yes. So I've been a part of the show for 8 years.
Yeah. So what was the? I guess tell me how you got involved in it originally with this.
Once again. Someone saw the red carpet videos.
Oh, wow.
Asked me to come host a night of like music at the W Hotel in Times Square. That was like for a Broadway cast. Like, they were going to come perform like their own songs. Okay. And they were like, oh, will you come host this? You're such a good host and you're so fun. And
sure.
And I was like, sure. And like, they were like, do you want to sing a song? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I play guitar. I was like, sure, I write songs. I'd love to like play something. So at the end of this night, I played this song and it was fun. It was a great night. And this guy, Doug Lyons, walks up to me and he's like, hey, I think you'd be perfect in this new show that I'm writing. And I was like, who are you? And, it's nice, it's flattering, but that sometimes just happens. And you're like, okay, maybe this person is like a nobody. It doesn't matter. Well, 3 months later, we're sitting in a rehearsal room, me and Doug, his co-writer Ethan, who wrote the music with him, Jeb Brown, now Tony nominee Jeb Brown.
Right.
And director, and I think one producer, and we read what was the first draft of this unfinished show called Beau, about this boy, Ace, who is figuring out his own sexuality, figuring out his own identity, and finds out that he has this long lost grandfather that he didn't know existed, who gifts him music, basically. And music becomes the way that he discovers who he is. And yeah, so I've been a part of the show for like almost January, I think will be like 8 years.
Wow.
And what a gift to be able to be a part of something for that long. That's like very, very rare. But Douglas, they've been so loyal and so generous with me.
That is really special.
We've done, I mean, I think today we were talking about, we've done like 4 like this will be the 4th like fully realized production that I've done with it. But in terms of the drafts and the readings, like I can't even count at this point.
Right.
But yeah, so I play Ace, who is the show basically is we're at Ace's concert. We're at Ace's concert in Nashville, and he's telling the story of his childhood and meeting his grandfather for the first time, and the sort of coming of age of and coming of queerness that happens, and how he falls in love with music. And it's the show's amazing. I mean, and obviously, again, you got to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit when you're in it. So I love the show. But I primarily love the show, not only for the message and for the experience that it's giving people, but the music is so good. It's bops on bops on bops.
Yeah, the music is beautiful. I've listened to it, and there's a cast recording.
We have a concept album on Sony that is, I sing a couple songs on that, but in the show I sing like 9 out of the 11 songs. So it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
I leave the stage for. I have 2 minutes off stage during one song, but other than that, I'm on stage.
And
the
you're
entire
playing
show.
guitar.
I play guitar, and I'm narrating the entire show.
My gosh.
So it is like, it's all the things that I love doing, right? I'm hosting.
Yeah.
I'm hosting this night as a character, but I'm hosting. I'm playing and singing this like really incredible like country rock music. And I get to be queer. I get to like be myself and be in myself in a way that is like such an incredible gift.
It was such so Out of the Box Theatrics produced it in this spring, but I had heard about them for a long time, and I'd been in for them.
They've been around.
Yeah, and they've been doing some really cool stuff for a long time. But it feels like this was the show that really put them on.
It was the biggest thing they've ever done.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone in town was talking about it, and I had heard about it because of the audition.
It's so crazy to me.
Like, and everyone I know was posting about it and telling people to go see it and all this other stuff. So when I heard that it was moving, I was like, of course it is. Like, you can't leave it where it was, you know? So what are you most excited about this rendition of it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, so downtown, we were in this space, in this basement in the West Village. It was 85 seats. It was really intimate. We basically built a bar in this theater.
So cool.
Which was so cool, called The Distillery. And it was immersive in the sense that like there were 3 tables on the floor, and the stage kind of came out, and we like had some scenes on the right side of the audience and the left side of the audience, and people were dancing on the bar, and like there's some immersion. This version, it's 175 seats, so it's a bigger theater, which is really exciting. I hope we can sell that many seats.
Yeah.
But it also is way more immersive. It is now like we are fully in and around you. There is still like a stage of the bar, right? There's still like the concert stage for the bar.
Sure.
But now there are way more tables. It is fully like in the round. Basically, I mean, it would the only theater that this show, if it were to ever transfer, the only theater that this show could probably work in is like the Circle and the Square. And the truth is, like, I'm just happy that we're doing it again. Like, I've been with the show forever. And so the fact that we get to, like, share it with people is such a gift.
Even bigger scale.
Yeah, is amazing. And in Midtown, right? Like, in the holiday season, like, it's such a gift. And again, this is everything we've talked about. Like, I've had this show in my back pocket for 8 years. So during all the red carpets, right, I always had this thing that I was like, well, I'm working on this show that I sing 9 out of the 11 songs. I say I'm on every single page of the script. I say basically every other line because I'm narrating. Like, this thing has always been there, but I've had to kind of just like hang on to it and hope that maybe one day it would turn into something. And I really had fully let that go. And then when I got the call that we were going down to Out of the Box down in the West Village, I was like, amazing. And the reception was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was so moved and so surprised, especially because we were having a fucking blast. I was having the best time. And again, for me, like, the stakes weren't so high. Like, it was like, oh, I'm just here to have a good time. And now the fact that we get to do it again in Midtown is such a gift. It's a bigger space. I cannot wait for more people to see this show, especially because the
can't
word of
wait to see
mouth,
it.
the word of mouth was so good
Yeah.
that I'm really excited. We have Jeb Brown back. So
Yes.
Jeb did not do it downtown because he was doing Dead Outlaw, getting nominated for a Tony.
Yeah.
So now he's back. And again, him and I have been working on the show for 8 years together.
Right.
So for him to be back, it really feels like coming home with him.
And Josh Rhodes is directing.
The best of the best. I love him, and my friend Max Sangerman is playing like the other like male love interest, and Amelia Cormack, who's been around but is playing my mother, and she's someone who has not gotten her flowers yet. And it's a lot of, listen, we're all actor musicians. That's the other thing too, is like this is a cast of, we are the band. We play this. There is no orchestra.
Yeah.
We are the band, which is so funny because for me that's not that strange. But I know that is actually like a rarity. That's something that we don't see a lot, right? The onces don't come around all the
It
time.
winds up falling into its own style.
That's right. And so I'm so happy that people love the show. A girl got a tattoo of the show. I mean, people saw the show like 15 times. Like it became one of those things because it is this story that I think people see themselves within.
Yeah.
And it's not just Ace's story that people see themselves within. Like this grandfather figure, what he represents is, I think, something that everybody has, which is a person who gifts you something. In this case, in the case of the show, it's music. But I think for everyone, there's someone who gifted you something or some idea that opened up your world in some way, that you discovered something about yourself. So maybe that's like movies or music or films or theater or dance or flowers, right? Like there's a million forms that it comes in. Or cars, right? Like I list fishing, like the list goes on and on and on. But in this regard, like in this particular show, it's music, but people come and they feel, they're like, oh, I know this relationship. I know these people. So it's been such a joy, and I feel so thankful, and so thankful that it's happening at this moment in my life, at this moment in the world, right? This is a show that I think people need, and people say this all the time, but like it's a show people need right now.
Sure.
And what I mean when I say that is that I think, like I was saying before, like to spread joy and optimism in the form of music and theater especially, and to create a collective experience, especially one that's immersive, where it's like you're really in it. It's such a gift, and to be the host of that, to get to be the one that like gets to take this audience on a ride every night and be a part, and I get to like witness my own story every night, basically, because I'm telling it. It's like beyond anything I could have ever possibly imagined for myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
And again, like in college, this is so, but I couldn't have even pictured this and the way it's happening.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
if nothing else, like I was happy with the downtown.
Right.
So if this is the end of the road for Beau, and this is the last time we get to do it, then like I will be satisfied. Like I love this show so much. I could talk about it for ages, but I'm really proud. I'm really proud.
And it shows the passion that you guys have for it, because in all the interviews I've seen of it and all the press that I've seen of it, it's very like.
And the way people talk about it, the way people that have seen it talk about it, you know, like they're like, oh, you gotta go see this show.
Yeah,
it's different than anything else that's out there.
Oh, I'm so excited! I'm excited for you. We do a segment on our show, and because the show's called "I Want to Be Like You," this is AI Want to Be Like You. So. What we're doing is, because you're very in the know, and we're shouting out Fourth Wall and Broadway and theater that's upcoming. I had AI write down a bunch of riddles that describe shows that are coming to Broadway this year, this season.
My God.
Some of them have already started their run. Some of them are starting in a couple weeks.
Is this plays too?
Spring. There's a couple of plays.
I'm screwed. I'm so screwed.
So, so we have
God.
a couple. So I'll start you off. And
I love that you're doing
this
this. It's so sweet.
We'll see how this goes. Okay. In moonlit halls where shadows prance, a tribe of strays performs a dance. From offstage vogue to Broadway's call, their lunar revels enthrall us all.
Okay, first of all, can you believe that AI wrote that?
I know, it's crazy.
It's great, but that is Cat's the Jellicle Ball.
There you go.
Yes,
Okay,
of course.
Good. Did you know that or not?
But, my God, that is quite poetic.
Pretty good, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. That was an easy one, so they'll get harder, I think.
Good.
In night's embrace where fangs take flight, a coastal clan defies the light. With cords that bite, their tail ascends, a horror spun where youth transcends.
Oh, This is The Lost Boys.
Yes.
Yes, a show that I was in callbacks for that I didn't get.
Oh,
and
there you
again,
go.
but like that's part of the thing where I'm like, I am so excited to see this show.
I can't wait to
I
see it.
love everybody that's working on it.
Yeah.
And like I can't wait to
Great
see
group
it.
of people.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Okay. Where squares align in a global fray, notes weave through a Cold War's gray, a knight's gambit masks a heart's silent plea, revived where stars in harmony be.
Dude, these are so good. It's
Yeah.
chess, but like,
It's chess.
damn, that is so well written.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know, they're pretty good. Okay. Her coffers brim, yet hunger persists. A palace rises through opulent mists. With soaring chords, her tale descends from splendor's height to a humbler end.
It's the Queen of Versailles.
The Queen of Versailles. You are
these are
4
great.
for 4.
These are great.
Okay. A canvas bare, yet passions ignite. Words clash fierce in a gallery's light. 3 souls spar where values debated. A comic lens on bonds now faded.
It's art.
Art. Yeah, wow, okay. On an isle where waves hum a Swedish tune, a daughter's quest glimmers neath the moon. Its birthplace calls with sequins aglow, a jukebox saga where old loves flow.
Oh, interesting. A jukebox saga where old loves flow. Sequins. What is coming in?
Yeah, he has it. Christian has it.
Read it to me again. Read it.
On an isle where waves hum a Swedish tune, a daughter's quest glimmers neath the moon. Its birthplace calls with sequins aglow, a jukebox saga where old loves flow.
Sweet.
Don't think about it too much.
I was going to say, don't think about it
Bitch,
too much.
that's Mamma Mia. What the hell?
Mia.
Come on. I'm like, that is a dramatic ass reading
Yeah.
for Mamma Mia.
I know.
Oh my God. I love Mamma Mia, by the way. Big fan.
Okay, by a withered...
Oh my God. I was like, what
I
dramatic
know. Well,
ass musical?
the Swedish thing is
Yes.
like the thing that throws. When I read that, I was like, "What?" I was like, "They made a mistake." I was
Yes,
like,
but it's
wait.
ABBA. Yes, of course.
Right. Yeah, we just had Patrick Dunn on, who's in Ensemble Mamma Mia, and he's awesome.
Good time.
He's awesome. Yeah. Okay. By a withered bow, 2 souls abide, awaiting a phantom in time's endless tide. With wit, they weave a void's strange lore on a stage where meaning knocks no more. This one's tricky. This one's very tricky. I would not get this.
It's a musical.
It's not a musical.
It's not a musical.
Not a musical. This one I think is the trickiest one. Maybe.
It's a play.
Yeah.
If it's not a
I
musical.
don't think you have it. No.
A bow. I mean, I don't know about a lot of the plays. The only play I do know about is like Little Bear Ridge Road, but that's not what it is.
That's not what it is. I'll give you a hint. It's on already. It's already started. It's
already started performances.
already started performances. Yeah.
Is it Waiting for Godot?
It is. That's right. Good work.
Sorry, Waiting for Godot.
Yeah.
That is what, apparently, that is the pronunciation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Waiting for Godot.
I always thought it was
apparently,
Godot. I
that's
always
the
thought it was
pronunciation.
Okay, we have just a couple more.
Okay.
At 54's pulse, where freaks align, a cult of revelers twists the spine. With fishnets bold and a beat so brass, their anthem returns in a decadent flash.
54. So it's like
Yeah.
70s disco.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fishnets.
Yeah. I think you would know it. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What is coming back? That sounds like a revival.
It is a revival.
It's not
And it's
damn.
one that people keep forgetting about.
Yeah, it's not Damn Yankees.
No. This one is announced. It's coming. It has a theater and everything.
It has a theater.
It does.
It has a theater.
It's not coming till the spring.
54. One more time.
At 54's pulse, where freaks align, a cult of revelers twist the spine. With fishnets bold and a beat so brash, their anthem returns in a decadent flash.
No idea.
Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror. Yeah.
Because they're going into 54.
I think so, yeah.
I thought they were going into Circle in the Square, but maybe that makes more sense.
Either they're going into 54 or they're going to the Todd Hames at around.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
one of
Oh,
them two,
yeah. Wow. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone keeps forgetting about. All right.
Jamie Lloyd.
What?
Jamie Lloyd.
Is doing Rocky Horror?
Yes. I think, or no.
No, Sam Pinkleton is doing
That's
Rocky
right,
Horror.
that's right,
Jamie
that's
Lloyd's
right.
doing Waiting for Godot.
Yes. And Hedwig in the West End.
Yes, that's right. Okay, in syncopation's pulse, 3 threads entwine, where hope and shadow in a nation's heart align.
Very good.
From uptown's beat to a seaside dream's refrain, a score reborn through joy and pain.
Gorgeous. Ragtime.
Ragtime.
Very excited.
Okay, this last one, let's see if you get it. This one's really good. This one's not Broadway, but this one's yeah.
No giveaway, man.
Okay. But the rest have been Broadway, that's why. Okay. In Tennessee's hush, where strings resound, a youth unearths a kin long thought underground. 8 souls strum secrets in a pop folk spree. Love's legacy blooms where none thought it could
I
be.
don't know. That one it sounds very good. Whatever it is, it sounds like something
you should go see
I would
it.
really want to go see.
Yeah.
And sounds like it feels like it would be happening at like St. Luke's on 46th Street starting mid-October.
Right.
That sounds like the kind of show I would want to see.
Your intuition is right.
Yeah, and a show that I think it's a show I'd want to be in too.
Yeah.
So my guess is that it's Beau.
You're right.
How about
Would
that?
you look at that?
How about that?
Okay, we have a tradition. That was AI Want to Be Like You. Thank you for playing.
I love
Look
AI
at
Want to
that.
Be Like You. That's
Wanna Be
clever.
Like you. Yeah. See, you started the trend for us all.
The games,
really,
yes.
Yeah, you really led the. So okay, we have a tradition on the show where we manifest the dream guest.
Yes.
We want you to manifest someone for us. It could be whoever you'd like. Douglas Lyons is one of our dreams guests now. The episode is coming out soon. Well, we're filming this. It's coming out this week. But he's now.
He would
become
love
one of our,
to.
I would love to.
Oh my
have
God.
him.
Yeah. I'll tell him. He would love to do it. Oh my God, a dream guest. Okay. I think you need to have Richie Ridge on.
Oh yeah.
I think you do because I think
would
this is a
love
person.
to have Richie
This is a
Ridge on.
person that like is so a part of Broadway lore that I just think people don't know his story at all. Like we see him everywhere.
Yeah.
He's at every event. He's been around for so long. He hasn't aged a day.
No, he really hasn't.
Okay.
He really hasn't. I've watched old videos and he really is not.
And I was watching him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I think I need to know. Like I want to know his. I mean, I know, but like I think you need to have him on to like
would love
hear
to
his
have Richie
whole
Rich on.
story.
I would love to.
To me, he's just like a Broadway legend
He is.
that is like niche enough that it feels like. And I think he would love to do it. But
Yeah.
I love him. I love him so dearly. He's he's been so good to me and was so generous in all the times that I was on the carpet. And
I love it.
Yeah, I think you
I
would.
love it.
I
Yeah,
think
I've met
you'd
him a
love
handful
him.
of times and he's been so sweet every single time.
He's the
just
best.
Yeah, I love it. I'll take it. Richie Ridge. Okay, and we end the podcast with the same question. We started by asking you who was your I want to be like you as a kid, and we want to ask you who is your I want to be like you now. And it could be someone in your life. It could be whoever you'd like.
Wow. I think as an actor, I think of people like Brandy Granowitz. I think of people that have had made really specific and conscious and smart choices in their career, who are respected in the industry as both really talented artists, but also like wonderful human beings.
Yeah.
And so Brandon is one of those people. And then I think maybe if we zoom out even farther, like I think about the legacy of Gavin and I think about the way that he impacted people, including me, and the sort of legacy he left behind, and the stories that people tell and the way that he shared, and he was a person that led from love and also existed in the nuance and the bothness of everything. And I'm so inspired by, just
I love that.
his presence and his soul. And I think if I could be like anyone, I think Gavin is a good person and a good North Star to aim for and keep in your heart,
That's perfect. I'll take it. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for reaching out.
Oh my God.
We're so
such
lucky
a
to have
pleasure.
you.
Such a
Go
pleasure.
see Beau. I can't wait to see it.
Come see us.
And thank you.
Thank
I want
you
to be
so
like
much.
Matt Rodin. I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes is produced by Elbi and Christian Cespedes. Special thanks to Angelina Cespedes, Vincenzo Salvatore Cakes, and of course, Matt Rodin.